Goldie Wells will not be in attendance tonight, and Mrs. Hoffman should be here later on.
Move to excuse Councilwoman Goldie Wells.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. That passes unanimously. And for the meantime, why don't we excuse Mrs. Hoffman, and we can...
Move to excuse Nancy Hoffman from council meeting.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, and that passes unanimously. We will begin tonight's meeting with a moment of silence. Thank you. I would like to recognize, I think we have two groups. I do want to recognize the Rankin Elementary School and ask them to come up. This is their school council, and they've had the opportunity to meet with the county today and the city, and they've done some other things around the city as well. And they're going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and I think we might also have a scout troop. We are thrilled to have them with us today because they are their school council, and it is wonderful to see our future leadership.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Oh, you wanted a picture? Yeah. I think if we stand up, you might catch us all if we move down.
Come on, girl. I told you that.
Thank you. And do we also have a scout troop in attendance? No? Okay. Mr. City Manager, I would like it if you could recognize our youth courier.
Absolutely. I'd be happy to. We are pleased to be joined this evening by Darius Satterfield.
That was
Is that
your
me?
applause.
Just for you. So Darius is not only our courier, but he's our intern in our office this summer. Darius is a rising junior at Elizabeth City State University. He's majoring in sports management, but his biggest goal is helping community. Perfect fit for us. Darius is enjoying everything that Greensboro has to offer. He is a kicker for Elizabeth City's football team, but his passion is actually soccer. As a diehard Manchester United fan, he looks forward to assisting with tournaments, and hopefully we'll get him out to Bryan Park to help out. Thank you, Darius.
I just wanted to thank April for getting our courier program together, something I've been wanting to do for the last couple of years. So this is awesome, and we'll kick off on it this year, starting out with such a nice young man, and look forward to all the other participants. So glad we could get this started. So thank you very much.
Thank you. The City of Greensboro encourages resident input. Public participation is of the utmost importance to the City Council. It is the goal of the City Council that the Katie Dorset Council Chamber be a welcoming space and that all residents feel empowered to bring issues of concern before their elected officials. The Council encourages individuals to use the public comment period to bring attention to community concerns and events. The order in which speakers are called is at the discretion of the mayor or presiding officer. Speakers must be signed up by 6 p.m. and will be allotted 3 minutes to speak. They may not relinquish any remaining time to another speaker and may only speak once during a public comment period. The mayor or presiding officer may, at their discretion, increase or decrease this time allocation. I also want to say that if you signed up to speak online, please make sure that you let the courier know that you are here in person. The City of Greensboro is committed to promoting an environment that is free of discrimination, bias, and bullying. Therefore, speakers shall refrain from personal attacks. The mayor or presiding officer has the authority to interpret and enforce the rules of decorum. In order to maintain a safe space for all speakers, members of the audience or speakers from the podium who intentionally disrupt the meeting, engage in egregious or repeated violations, or ridicule other speakers will be given a warning, and if unheeded, they will be removed from the meeting. That person will be suspended from in-person participation for 3 months. In order to preserve their right to free speech, they can attend virtually by Zoom, by phone, or submit written comments by email. Speakers shall be civil and courteous in their language and presentation. Insults, profanity, or use of vulgar language or gestures or other inappropriate behaviors are not allowed. Speakers are to address council during the public comment period. Speakers shall not address or respond to members of the audience. All electronic devices should be turned off or to the silent mode. If you must make or receive a phone call, kindly do so from outside the chamber. All speaker handouts should have already been provided to the city clerk or courier to be distributed to council. Residents are not allowed to approach the dais unless invited to do so by council. Zoom participants shall mute their microphones until they are called upon to speak. All meeting attendees, including Zoom participants, are expected to respect speakers and council deliberations. By statute, council members must vote on all items unless there is a direct financial interest or if they sit on a board of a nonprofit receiving money from the city on a specific item. All votes will be moved and seconded. The mayor will announce the vote total. We do have a consent agenda, G1 through G16, which are a grouping of agenda items that are voted on with one single vote to expedite what are believed to be routine and non-controversial items. Any council member may withdraw an item from the consent agenda due to a conflict of interest or for the purpose of voting no. Items removed from the consent agenda for discussion will be placed on the June 18th City Council business agenda. This meeting does include closed captioning. Depending on the length of the meeting, we may take a short recess around 7:30. Staff has requested council to remove item G11, which is an ordinance in the amount of $384,550, amending the Workforce Development Fund budget for pipeline building and advanced manufacturer certifications funding provided by the Golden Leaf Foundation. This will be for revisions and come back at a later date. Do I have a motion? Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Mrs. Abuzawader. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. I am going to take the prerogative of the chair and move item H1 to the beginning of the meeting, which is an economic development item that we have. I will read that into the record. H1 is a resolution authorizing an economic development incentive to Project Mercury in the amount not to exceed $344,171. Mr. Yandel, can you give us an overview?
Good evening. Yes, this is an economic development incentive request from Clearly Clean. Let me scroll down to the next. Clearly Clean is a packaging company that manufactures eco-friendly, 100% recyclable trays, and they are headquartered in Pennsylvania. They are considering a multi-building site off the corner of McConnell Road and Clapp Farm Road, as well as the Atlanta Metro. Once they locate here, the company will establish several new product lines. The expansion will result in a capital investment of $26,940,000 by the end of 2028 and 80 new jobs by the end of 2027. The average wage of those jobs is $58,876, and none of those jobs would pay below $18 an hour. The company is requesting a 4-year incentive in the amount of $344,171. And the company has also been awarded a 1NC grant, which you may have read about today in a press release. That announcement earlier today is contingent upon these local incentives as a match for that grant. This size simply demonstrates that they meet all 3 of the minimum criteria of 25 new jobs, $7 million in investment, and the jobs are above the Guilford County average wage. Staff recommends that Council consider this request to authorize these incentives, and the grant will be paid over 4 consecutive years. The 80 new jobs will be retained through the installment period and 1 additional retention year. The construction portion of this project will adhere to the MWBE program plan, and a representative from the company has already spoken with staff about what would be expected. The new jobs will be posted with our local workforce development board, and they will be required to host a job fair in each of their hiring phases. With us tonight is Mr. Marvin J. Price and Brent Christensen from the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce, as well as Sydney August with CBRE representing the client via Zoom. Are there any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Yandel?
Move the item.
I have a question for the item.
Mrs.
And
Hightower?
And I'll second the item.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
But that's okay. I just wanted clarification on at least one targeted job fair held for each hiring phase. Any specific locations we're talking about, since we're on that side, I'd like for you to consider,
Yes.
doing it maybe closer in the east as opposed to somewhere central.
Correct. So we don't get specific with where to host it, but we ask them to be more intentional about where they host it, considering our more underemployed or unemployed areas of town. So we do mention that to them and ask them to work with the Workforce Development Board on those hiring fairs within strategic locations in the city.
Okay, and the incentive is great, but will they also qualify for the jobs that get hired from the impact zones 1 and 2?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The additional $250 if they hire someone that resides in the impact zone, and another $250 per employee if they hire through the Guilford Works.
Okay, that's fine. I just
Yes,
wanted-
ma'am.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank
Move the item.
Second.
Okay, that's been moved by Mayor Pro Tem and seconded by Mrs. Hightower. And that carries 7-0. Thank you. Thank you. And I did just hear from Mrs. Hoffman. She had an LGC meeting in Raleigh, and she is on her way here, but the traffic is pretty bad. So, yeah, I'm sure it was talk to text. All right, now we will move to our public comment period. If I call your name, as I call your name, please come to the window side of the room. Tinka Warren, Joe Brower, Zeta Manning.
Madam Mayor, could you repeat who you called for the speakers, please?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Could you please repeat the speakers that you called?
Tanika Warren?
She is on Zoom, Mayor.
Oh, she's on Zoom? Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I am on Zoom. I'm at the IRC Center tonight doing my meeting from here. So it's going to be kind of noisy.
Ms. Warren, you have 3 minutes. The clock is ticking.
Okay. I've going back December 6, 2022. I went to Kathy Manning's office and she told me to go to Hood and get my check and contact another person in Winston-Salem for the Congress Women's area office. And then they said it was out of their jurisdiction. So it's still your jurisdiction to go ahead and get me paid and get the house rebuilt at 922 Lincoln Street. Now, I found conflicts of interest in this matter. Conflict of interest is Stanton and Staten nonprofit, which is my kid's dad, new wife family, who is on the line saying that she's got this $5 million. And I was supposed to get $5 million from the City of Greensboro. She's getting donations from the grant money from the City of Greensboro to pay people water bills, light bills, and things of that agenda. My old job at United Way. And so that's also a conflict of interest. Jeanette Warren, my mother, worked for Mr. Westmoreland for over 5 to 10 years, cleaning his home. And that's who HUD had sent the complaint to, and he retired. Another conflict of interest is Dudley alumni Yvonne Johnson. She's on the board committee there. So that's another conflict of interest because my mother had some people there that didn't like her at that school, and I did too. So they're part of the alumni association. And some of that is going to be on this microchip that's embedded into my body and that will have to be released. And I'm going to have that done once they do the CAT scan on me to get this surveillancing microchip out of me. But I'm asking, can you go ahead and provide accommodations with the relocation payments of 52 months as asked from the initial beginning, and go ahead and try to rebuild 922 Lincoln Street under the access of the redevelopment and grant money that's provided.
$30 seconds.
Okay,
Warren,
that's it.
Yes.
Okay. I'm done.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joe Brower, Zita Manning, and Denise Umana.
Good evening. My name is Joe Brower. I live at 208 Ridgeway Drive in Greensboro. Been a resident of Greensboro for 30 years. I'm here to speak on behalf of North Carolina Fusion, which, as many of you know, is the successor to the old Greensboro United Soccer Association Club. I was part of the group that merged the club with the Winston-Salem Club back in 2018. And we realized that we haven't been here to council to talk about a lot of the great things that Fusion is doing. And I wanted to share some of that data with you this evening. A couple things to note about Fusion. We're a 501c3 not-for-profit youth sports organization. At the top of the list of things that we do is what I would call community programming. So we provide the ability for people to play competitive sports from youth ages all the way through adults. We have over 5,000 recreation soccer players. We have 2,000 select soccer players and over 750 adult soccer players that participate in our programming, much of which is done at Bryan Park. We also offer youth camps. So we've offered camps for youth during the summer at Brown Recreation Center, Warnersville, Windsor, Glenwood, and Peeler. We also do a weekly event through the foundation, which is affiliated with Fusion, where we provide, we've built a field and competitive play environment over in East Greensboro, and we also feed the kids each of the days that we do that. The other thing that we do as a club, we've managed a number of large events. We do 5 big tournaments a year, having up to 500 teams. Much of that's done out at Bryant Park. We have invested heavily in Bryant Park. Over $3 million of city investment has been accompanied by $2 million of investment from the club, even though we are only a lessee out there. And in just the last 3 weeks, we've had events that created economic impact of up to $15 million to the local community. We have a deep commitment and passion for what we do at Bryant Park, and we wanted to come here and speak tonight to the strength of our past relationship. We are on the cusp of entering into an RFP for Bryant Park, and we thought it important that everybody here understand the commitment that North Carolina Fusion has to this community and to Bryant Park itself. Thank you for your time.
I just read where Bryan Park soccer fields were rated in the top 10 in the country.
That's one of the top destination locations for large tournaments.
That's great.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I heard all that you said and who all you work with, but I didn't hear Hayes Taylor Y. And Hayes Taylor Y has soccer fields too. They have kids.
Excuse me?
Hayes Taylor Y, MCA. You don't have any relationship with them?
I'm not familiar with us doing anything at Hayes Taylor. We've
They're
got
right
the
in-
other communities, areas that we do things
They're right
with.
in the heart of East Greensboro. They're right there on the corner of Florida and Gate City Boulevard.
Oh, I'm very familiar where it is because at the Presbyterian Church of the Cross, which is not that far away, we built a field and also a futsal court on that facility, and we partner with the church in East Greensboro to provide free programming for kids on weekends.
Well, Hayes Taylor Y has a very active soccer program too as well. They have fields. So it's kind of interesting that you don't have any relationship or partnership with them.
That is a good question.
And that needs to happen.
I agree.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before our next speaker comes up, I want to clarify, we have some people signed up as a speaker from the floor, but it might be more appropriate to be signed up under budget if you're asking for a budget allocation. So the Keep Gate City Housed, I think, will be called under the budget if there's no objection to that. And then Paige, sprinkle the Mayor's Committee scholarships. Is that a budget request? Is it to increase funding? No? Okay. If anybody else has signed up as a speaker from the floor, but it's really a budget issue, if you could let the courier know and we'll make that change. Thank you. Let her go first.
Hello, my name is Denise. I am the student council of Rankin Elementary. I am the president. We are here to speak about the safety of Rankin and neighborhoods near us. I am speaking about littering because it has great effects on the city. It makes our city dirty and it is unhealthy.
Hello, my name is Rosie. I am the student council vice president. Littering causes a lot of trash piling up, making our city dirty and unclean, and causes animal harm. We would like for you to keep our city clean more. Thank you for letting us speak today.
Thank
Thank you for letting them be empowered today. I wanted them to show up and speak because they need to learn how to advocate for themselves and their places that they live. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. So Zita Manning, followed by Philip Marsh, followed by William Dempsey.
Hello, greetings to all. My name is Zena Manning. I am a resident of Gifford County. I've been here for about 10 years. I am with Gifford for All. And I said I wasn't going to say a whole lot, so let me start, okay? Gifford County needs $400,000 to help the people that are in need. I'm talking about the homeless, the ones that are homed, but they're having problem with management up under the where they're staying. Property managers. That's what I'm talking about. Last year, 1,600 eviction papers were served. It was better. It would be better if they would be served with some resources to help them with the evictions. When we get eviction papers, a lot of us, the only thing we know is we evicted. And they don't know where to go, what to do, and they have no resources. We need programs available for them to get resources to help with property managers, for the elders, disabled, and anyone that needs help. We would like to see an expansion for the teen program, for the ones being evicted, with good resources, people on the ground with resources as well. It would cut down on the crimes in our cities as well as our communities. But it would take all of us together to fully accomplish this. I'm with Gifford for All. Let's get the homeless off the streets. That residence was property management, so we all that need help can be dependent and start living a better and productive life. Since I've been with Gifford for All, I see the hope in the people. We need the hope and the kept promises. Don't need any more broken promises. And to get this job done. We need to house Gate City. I've been in Greensboro, and I've been looking, I've been seeing, and there are a whole lot of things that can be done, and Gifford County can make it happen. There's a whole lot of money that runs through here, you know, with the furniture market and the everything that goes on with Coliseum and all the things the activities that Greensboro and Gifford College offers. So the only thing we're asking is for y'all to consider, or we would like to get, or we need $400,000 to make this happen. And I'm with Gifford for All.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Philip Marsh. William Dempsey. Followed by Rosendo Felipe.
Well, what I want to speak on today is improper.
Could you come a little closer to the microphone?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And if you'd give us your name for the record.
What I was wanting to speak on today, my name is William L. Dempsey, William Lewis Dempsey, to be exact. What I want to speak on today is the improper disposal of government property. And what I'm specifically referring to is 2000 Merritt Drive. Everything that relates to that is within this envelope. They housed it. How can you have over a 90%, 97%, excuse me, value of property loss, and the house is still standing strong? Somebody is living there. I personally have lost hundreds of thousands of dollars because of this. So this is not, it impacted me personally and financially. So I don't know how you can just say, okay, let's give John this. Did John work for it? No, John did not work for it. And John got it. That's when the City of Greensboro gives something away, they should be notarized. Everybody in the public that wanted to acquire it should have the same opportunity to acquire as anyone else, and which did not happen. So maybe I don't know how to put what y'all want to say, but how could you expect me to give you hundreds of thousands of dollars? I just don't understand that, because that's what the financial loss to me was. See, let me tell you, I've been working construction most of all my life after I retired from the military. And that's how you acquire properties and things like that. In fact, I bought 4 houses in one day. But you have to have the financial resources to run this country. You cannot expect somebody else to pay for it. And if somebody doesn't pay for it, okay, maybe I'm over time. I don't know.
Thank you.
Can I just get clarity on the address again?
Yes.
I thought I heard one number, maybe. You said 2,000, correct?
2,000 Merritt.
Okay.
See, it's 2,000 Merritt. Then nobody lost. How can you lose over 97% of the value? You can't justify that. Nobody can tell me how they can lose 97% and the house is still standing. That's less than 3%. Value left there.
Okay.
And after the pandemic, all the values of the houses went up, but this went down over 97%.
Oh, yes, sir.
And the person who got it, I don't know how he got it, but anyway.
Okay. If you want to leave your paperwork with the courier. Yeah. Okay.
But I'm going to go out another way.
Our next speaker, Rosendo Felipe, followed by Malik Hugh, Toad of the Mountain, and Paige Sprinkle.
Hello. Can everyone hear me? Good evening, distinguished members of the council and fellow Greensboro stakeholders and community members. My name is Rosendo Felipe, and I'm the Vice President of Communications, Vice President of Greensboro JCs, and I'm the Vice President of Communications and Marketing. The Greensboro JCs are a nonprofit organization. We are a 501c4 membership organization for young people between the ages of 21 to 40. We have been active in the city of Greensboro since
Could you hold on for one? Could you take that discussion outside? Thank you.
I think you have 2 seconds.
I apologize for the
May I
for
have
the
two?
noise.
Thank you, Mayor. May I have 2 seconds added to my time, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
She'll just give you 2 more.
Thank you very much. As I was saying, thank you very much for your time. We have been active in the City of Greensboro since 1936, and we are dedicated to creating a positive economic and cultural climate for young people in the city. You can learn about us on social media at GSOJCs or on our website, www.jcs.org. This year, we are attempting to do our part to address the issues by holding 2 events in the month of June. The first is a networking event that we are hosting in partnership with Synergy Young Professionals. It will be held on the evening of June 18th on Elm and Bain for young professionals working in the public service sector. Teachers, firefighters, police, city and county workers are all encouraged to attend this event, which we will include guest speakers from different areas of local government as well as entertainment. The next event is our first annual Carnival Day event, which will be held on Saturday, June 29th at LaBauer Park. This event will include live dance performances as well as food and market vendor options. I would like for everyone to attend this event if at all possible, and we hope that you will help us spread the word about these events, and we invite you to join us as we speak and work to make Greensboro a more vibrant and connected city for young people. Thank you very much. And for the last portion of our time, I'd like to say that I've been in Greensboro since 2018, and I enjoy what I think is a vibrant, and I would call it just a flourishing environment of private funding and interest within what we do here. What we do here with the JCs, we try to encourage young people that are the leaders and future of our community to not have what we call a brain drain. A brain drain is when, let's say, that people that are educated in the South go back up north for better paying jobs. You find this all over the world, with the exception of places like Southeast Asia, Western Africa, and Sub-Saharan Africa. So what we do is we're creating and fostering and building leaders of the community through JCs. We have a funnel program through the CEO Club and also the Entrepreneur Club at UNCG, and also 2 clubs within North Carolina A&T State University. So what we're doing is basically trying to encourage the young people of Greensboro to stay here, look for better jobs, and also contribute back to our society, which we're facing across the nation on a whole and across the world. As we know, our biggest population is the baby boomer generation, and they are the greatest generation. And we know this population is facing a pension and retirement age, so we want to encourage people to be those new leaders and step up. Because around the world, we have to suit the need of the senior citizen population, because we know that there's an interest there, there's a need there, and that arises with the community. So we want to make the connection between, for example, our first responders, senior citizen community, and the young professionals to make a more cohesive nation and a community at large in the microcosm over here in Greensboro, North Carolina, in the Guilford County. I want to thank you very much, and thank you, Austin, for speaking with our group last month at our networking event we have every month, every second Wednesday of the month, and every third Monday of the month. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, City Council members. And I'm back again. I come every time. This time, I talked to a couple of my members, my own community. We have all looked at it, and we have all been down that road about the IRC and a lot of other things. And I've been looking at a lot of my people been sleeping in the parks. I ride back by on the bus, and I ride at nighttime just to see what's going on. My homeless community had brought the ideas to my attention that we needed some other little activities, other things that we can do, even trying to figure out where we're going to sleep at. So my one thing is this: after this plan, where are we going to put all these people that's out on these streets, sleeping in front of parks and sleeping in places? Where can we go from there? Where are we going to be able to move up from there? And my other thing is this: I want to ask for my city council members who hosting, and Stevon and all of y'all, to help me run, because I'm getting ready to start my own event, my own thing. I'm running for Beauty in the Streets. I brought it up to y'all before, and I'm bringing it back now to ask to see if we can do something so that way my city can show some more uplifting, because I'm trying to get my homeless back to where we can be better. Because I've looked at a couple of videos of Skid Row back in California. So now I'm bringing it to Greensboro, bringing a different idea. And I wanted to see if the city could change it and see how we can make our streets and our community better. Because I'm looking around at different spots when I'm riding the bus or when I'm commuting from other sides of Greensboro. And I'm looking at each one of these homeless members standing out there holding a sign. And I don't want to see my homeless members out on the streets. So I'm trying to see if we can really make a big change in my own city. because one day I'm gonna be up here. I'm gonna be up here running this. I'm gonna be up here making my city better. I want to see changes in my city. I want to see my homeless off the streets. I want to see all them people. And I know my Gate City team is here too, in the building too, because I want to show everybody some love. I've been trying to see what's going on, and I've been trying to see changes. But my homeless do not need to be on the streets no more. Even moving ILC farther away is not going to help. Moving other places is not going to be better. We need to make it somewhere where it's going to be financially stable, and staying in the spot where it's at is where it needs to be. But we need to build up on it, not just take it and move it somewhere else and throw it away, because it's going to make it look bad for our own downtown area. But I know that business owners want us to be moved. But no, let's just expand and take the lot that we got over there by other ministry and build another building over there where it be closer to the other ministry, so it can be helpful to the other ministry area. So that way they can have more expansion. Because I know they need more help. I know they need more people. I know we do. The ILC need more staffing. The ILC this. ILC that. Looking at it, I've been looking back and I've been reading a lot of things. And I want to see changes to my homeless community be off the streets. That's all I got to say. Thank y'all.
Thank you, homeless extraordinaire. Now, I want to thank you guys from last month, because honestly, you guys did more for my community than has been done in the past 15 years. The article in Fox 8 and the article in Yes Weekly actually brought public consciousness to how horrific the conditions are at the IRC. That's going to spark change. Now, my entire purpose is homeless activism. So I'm going to call out anything that's a detriment to my community. And right now, the biggest detriment is low. They pulled out that BS propaganda piece, taking a quote from Zach completely out of context when they're not even part of the discussion. I mean, because if they had actually read Ian's piece in Yes Weekly, they would have seen an email. I'll take full credit for that email, because I'm the one that sent it to Zach. He's the one that sent it to the rest of you. I mean, these problems are real problems, and we can't let stupid idiots, propagandize something that is completely benign statement, because Zach's actually on point. He's the one that's spearheading the entire change to the homeless community, followed by Hugh, Tammy, Sharon. I mean, I keep up with you guys. So I do want to thank you for everything you've done. But now you got to take more direct action. You really have to take control of the IRC. Yes, the talk about moving it, that's not a bad idea. Move it out to the airport. There's so much empty space out there. But if you move it out to the airport, you have to have regular transportation for free for every member of the community that you move out there. You're going to displace them, you got to give them somewhere to go. Now, things that you need to do in town. You know that we go some days 12, 13 hours without an open bathroom. So, yeah, when people complain about the smell of urine and feces, where are we supposed to go? Porta johns. I mean, it's that simple. There's so many little things that you guys can do to make things easier in my community. I mean, getting us housed, yeah, that's going to be a longer process. The Regency, we saw how that fell through. Why did the Regency fall through? Because the person that you put ahead of securing that contract, Michelle Kennedy, is someone that I told when I came here a year and a half ago, I'm going to see her behind bars. She's horrible. Look into her. There's a reason why her protege, Christine, had problems at Target. Y'all be safe.
After Paige Sprinkle, Jerome Hayes, Isaac Myers, Portia Shipman.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Paige Sprinkle, and I'm here on behalf of the Greensboro Mayor's Committee for Persons with Disabilities, or GMCPD. In the past, I've served this committee as the chairperson from 2020 to 2023, and I continue to serve, but in the secretary role now. For folks who are here and at home that aren't familiar, GMCPD is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that includes about 40 different nonprofit organizations, state and local government entities, and advocates. And our mission is to create a barrier-free community. All of our members are volunteers who are passionate about building an equitable and inclusive Greensboro. And in keeping with our 30-plus year history as a committee, we'll be providing student scholarship awards. These opportunities are designed for high school seniors who are graduating this spring and who are either pursuing a secondary education or a vocation-oriented career in the fall of 2024. And in order to qualify for the scholarship, students must also be currently enrolled in a school in Guilford County. And that's not exclusive to public schools. Students can apply from private, charter, and homeschool programs as well. Last year, we funded 4 students representing 4 different schools, and we awarded them a total of $3,000 to help launch them into their academic and vocation-oriented endeavors. So our online application is live now. The deadline to submit is Monday, June 24th at 5 p.m. We encourage students to self-nominate, but we've also received nominations of deserving students from their teachers, coaches, and counselors. No FAFSA information is required for this application. So please help us spread the word. If you know any young adults in your lives that are planning their next steps after high school graduation, our email address is listed on our website if you happen to have any questions. We'll also be hosting 2 Q&A Zoom sessions for the public on June 14th and June 21st. So more information about the Zoom link and those times will be posted to our Facebook here shortly. And all the student recipients and their families will be invited to attend a reception and special ceremony at the July 9th City Council meeting. So we look forward to speaking more about our students then and celebrating them. So if this student scholarship opportunity sounds interesting to you and you'd like to learn more about GMCPD, you're welcome to join our monthly meetings. They take place over Zoom the first Thursday of every month. And our meetings are presented in spoken English. We provide real-time captioning and American Sign Language interpreting. So all are welcome. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
The meeting is the first Thursday of the month. What
Correct.
time?
It is from 8:30 to 10. We do not hold our meetings in July and December, and that's just because we host our large Shoppers Day event in December, and July is a difficult time with everybody's vacation traveling plans.
And the website, is that the one on our city website?
Correct. Yes, sir.
As a father with a child with autism that we're going through high school right now and trying to find high school, I've never been more disappointed in trying to find a school for my son. And what we're going through right now has been extremely difficult. So I would love for you to send me some information, and I'd love to help you get the word out as best I can as a parent of somebody. You know, you talk about equity and inclusion. Children, parents, kids, adults with disabilities don't enter that conversation. And I will tell you, it's been extremely challenging. And I don't know right now where my son's going to school, and that hurts. So I'll help you any way I can.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I have some flyers, and I'm happy to pass along to the members.
Jerome Hayes? No? Isaac Myers? Mrs. Shipman, if you want to start while he's on his way. And after Mr. Myers, Cameron Simpson and Malik Pay.
Okay. My name is Portia Sherman. I reside at 401 Bennett Street in Greensboro. I'm actually going to read a press release that I sent out on Sunday, so you can have a better understanding of why I'm standing here. Okay. So, urgent call for accountability in Greensboro property complex management. Greensboro tenants in a local property complex are being mistreated by their landlord, with many residents
being low-income individuals on Section 8, former group home residents, or those former group, or those who have experienced homelessness. Having personally witnessed this behavior, I can attest to the landlord's disrespect and attitude towards his tenants. Despite not being homeless myself, as an advocate for the underserved and the homeless individuals, as well as people experience domestic violence and family crisis. I am that advocate. I find his conduct unacceptable. I am particularly dissatisfied with the property manager by the name of Kenneth Roundtree. He has been unprofessional, unkind, and unhelpful to his residents. Recently, on May the 29th, he threw me out of his office when I attempted to address an unresolved maintenance issue reported on May the 8th. His rudeness and threatening demeanor are unacceptable, especially towards the elderly and the disabled tenants. The reason I was there speaking on behalf of the lady that I was speaking for, she told me that she was scared to tell him or talk to him. On Friday, I contacted Kenneth about a tenant refrigerator that has not been working, causing me to have to discard her spoiled food while cleaning her house to help her regain stability. She was moved in tears by my assistance. Instead of addressing the issue, Kenny dismissed the concerns and insulted me, making loud and threatening remarks that forced me to hang up on him. Such behavior from individuals in this position of power over vulnerable people is intolerable. These tenants need kindness and support, not further mistreatment. I urge immediate action to remove Kenneth Roundtree from his position or demand a better management practice from the property management company. That's why I'm here. And I also want to thank Sharon Hightower for helping me and talking me off that tree on Sunday and helping this tenant. I just appreciate you so much. Thank you. I just want you to know we got to do more.
Thank you. Our next speaker. Sure.
Mr. Myers, I tried to call, but I must have the wrong number. I did have a resolution, but I just want you to know I'll get your right number.
My name is Isaac Myers. I reside at 3014 Lawndale Drive.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
My name is Isaac Myers. I reside at 3014 Lawndale Drive. And I'm here today because on May 22nd, the security guards at the depot called the cops on me for a false narrative.
You might want to
I'm saying that the security guards called the cops on me for a false allegation, and they've been doing that ever since they was North State, East Coast. And y'all came with Phoenix Security, and it's the same people that work for the same company that's abusing their authority against me, like fabricating stories against me all the time, getting me removed from public property on a false narrative. I didn't do anything. And the cops come, and the cops take their side and violate your 14th Amendment right, violate your civil rights, violate your constitutional rights, because the cops are coming on a false call, like Shoemaker and Sergeant Walt. His name starts with a W, and I called the lieutenant. I spoke to a lieutenant. But every time I have any encounters with the Greensboro police and public accommodation, they take people's side over your side. And it's like the cops is biased and discriminatory. Like I tried to speak to the police chief named John Thompson. He walked across the street, and I recognized who he was. I tried to speak to him, and he ignored me. He didn't even acknowledge me as a person. So people just treat you like you're nobody. You know what I'm saying? They don't treat you like you're somebody in society because they judge you by class in society. Like people look down on people and judge people by socioeconomical base, like George Lenning, Reginald Mason, Mrs. Hyde that works at the Greensboro Transit Agency. They don't investigate stuff in a fair and impartial manner. And Beverly Bradley, her name is Lady Mrs. Smith. Every time I render complaints to them, they be biased and don't investigate my stuff in a fair and impartial manner. So they discriminated against me as well, because the bus drivers passed me on the bus and did not stop and render service to me. It just kept on going. Like this lady named Wednesday and other bus drivers and everything. You know what I'm saying? And then I render complaints about it. They want to take the person's side over your side. Like a lot of them bus drivers that work for this company, they was fired from Keolis. If a person is fired, why can they come back and work for this company? If they fired, then they had a problem with them. But they still want to try to hire the same people that got fired from the previous company. I don't think that's fair and impartial to the citizens. And the bus transit agency, everybody's in cahoots together. They all biased and discriminatory. Like Jackie, you know what I'm saying? She's a supervisor. I'll serve complaints on her, and the complaints is not being investigated in a fair and impartial manner. And every time I file complaints, I'm being targeted by all the bus drivers, by the security, by all the people I'm being retaliated against every time I'm at the depot. You know what I'm saying? So they're abusing authority on me. And I would like the investigation done about this whole situation because, y'all need to get rid of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Myers, Tori, would you get his phone number, the right phone number for me, and I will give you a call.
Next speaker.
Hello, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Cameron Simpson, and I stay on Troy Street, which is right across the street from the golf course. I think my house is being, I know for a fact my house is being used as target practice for the golf balls. I think I talked to you, or my wife talked to you, Sharon, about the problem. They put up a net, but the balls are flying through, and I still got to pay for like broken windows and my car shield windows and stuff like that. And I heard that a simple solution would be to reroute the golf course, but I guess I don't know. 2111 Troy Street. Yeah, so
the issue that happened before was the net had a hole in it. So, and I think that's part of what happened. And so we're getting ready to put about $2 million into that golf course.
At least.
We're going, and probably more than that, actually. So we'll be addressing some of that. But I do know we are taking care of the most recent issue.
Is it possible to reroute that golf course so that?
I don't know how you're going to reroute. That's going to be a lot.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
I mean,
So, but generally, the net should stop the balls from.
Yeah, but they're not stopping them. They're not stopping them.
In that situation, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Well, no, but you can go ahead.
I'm coming with money out of my pocket. Replacing windows and car windows and all that.
But now I've never heard of any other incident. Are you reporting them to us and letting us know?
You never heard?
Yeah, I know about the last one, and we're taking care of
The
that.
last,
But I don't know about
the last one. I don't.
You gotta
know
let
about the
you gotta
last
let
one.
me know. I didn't know.
I think the way they put the net up this time, it gives room for golf balls to fly through. And when you hit a golf ball from like half a mile out, you got the velocity of that golf ball, and it can really do some damage. Because I got a car that's in the shop right now getting the windshield replaced for
Yes,
it.
sir. I'm sorry about that.
Don't worry about it.
Chris, I think we just need to look at maybe the type of netting or whatever, the height and making sure that it's adequate. And we'll reassess
I think filling up the holes for that net might do a whole heap of, it might solve the solution.
Yes, sir.
Because I guess, it's got holes in the golf balls. You can't tell where they're coming from. I mean, and I can't run across there. He said, you know, the member of the golf course said, well, run around, run on the golf courses and catch them. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I mean, you know, I'm sorry. You know,
Sorry, that was an answer given to you. That's not appropriate.
Yeah, you know, I ain't trying to beat no dead horse, but you know,
Yes, sir. I think
if we would have knew golf balls was gonna fly at our house like that, we would have never bought the house.
I'm so sorry. We can reassess just the area and what, you know, protective measures, Chris. We need
Yeah, we'll
to
take
look
a
at.
look. I'm sorry, sir, that happened. Probably need to look at this last claim that you had. As part of that, we should be looking at what's happening. So I'll circle back to staff and then we'll contact you. If you'll leave your name with the courier and phone number, we'll contact you.
Okay. Well, I think thank you, but I think if they just plug up the holes, that'll work.
Yes, sir.
That's my thought in theory.
Okay.
They put up a new net, which I thank them for that, but the golf balls are still getting through. And I think if they plug up the holes where they connect the nets at, then the golf balls won't get through. That's my thought.
Well, I'm going to ask them to look at it. I'm not a golfer, so I don't know, but we need to get somebody who does that kind of work and look at it, make it safer for your home. So I apologize.
Did you see the nets at Top Golf? The one on Wendover? Them things go like, yeah. I'm still trying to look and see how far they go up.
Okay. Let's go to Top Golf and see what they have.
Well, yeah, and they kind of use that netting almost as a billboard off the interstate so everybody knows where they are.
Well,
Yeah.
that's okay.
All right. Thank you.
Great
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for your
Sorry.
time.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
So we have our last speaker. If anybody else has signed up as a speaker from the floor on a non-agenda item and you haven't been called, please check with the courier. Sir?
How you doing? I'd like to start by saying, as I usually do, nothing is more revolutionary than technology. I think San Francisco started...
Can you give your name for the record?
Malik, PA. San Francisco started a payout for reparations, which I think the first payout could amount to be about $5 million. This declaration makes about 247 years of grievances, about 1,000 individual cases that include Trayvon Martin, Harriet Tubman, George Floyd, and many, many more that suffer the tyranny from this country. The closest thing to a slave ship this council actually designed is right across the street. It's called a jailhouse. Let me remind the council that Maya Angelou was here. Let me remind the council that Jay-Z got his first start right over at Northeast High School. The tyranny has not stopped. For the President of the United States to ignore the litigation of reparation is for him to cover his ears and cover his eyes like a boy or a child. This declaration is asking our Congress, our Supreme Court, and this very council for about $500 billion US or pound, or it can be euro, but I think it's very important for that American citizen to actually have that pound in their hand to understand. We agree with the South African president when he told the whites that stole the land. He said, we're going to take our land back and we're not going to be nice about it. This is not for our country to know us better, but this is for us to know our country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me suggest, excuse me, sir, let me suggest you speak to the county because they control the jails, they build the jails, they control the jails, and they would, I think what your message should go also to them. County commissioners.
Thank you. And we did have one other speaker signed up, Kristen Sagar.
Hey, my name is Kristen Sager. I've lived in this area for 18, 19 years. I'm a resident of Lindley Park. I have an 8-year-old son and a 10-year-old daughter, and both of my children enjoy recreational sports. Unfortunately, they are not provided the same opportunities through Greensboro Parks and Recreation. There is a significant gender inequality in the sports available for girls in this city. Greensboro Parks and Recreation Department has not ensured equal opportunities for all genders. This issue is particularly concerning for girls from lower socioeconomic backgrounds for whom the cost of participating in sports outside of the city or in private venues can be prohibitive. For example, my 8-year-old son is able to play baseball with Greensboro Parks and Recreation at a cost of $40, while I drive my 10-year-old daughter to Summerfield to play with Summerfield Recreation Association for an all-girls softball league, which costs $165. This disparity in cost is more than 4 times as much. It places significant burden on families and is not affordable to everyone. Greensboro Parks and Recreation currently only offers one dedicated sport to girls, which is cheerleading. Both basketball and baseball are offered as co-ed sports, but these do not fully address the unique needs and development opportunities of girls. I have reached out to the Parks and Recreation Department, and I've had good conversations with leadership. My first conversation was with Monique Floyd. It was about a year ago, and there has been little done to treat both genders equally since that. Several weeks ago, I spoke with Monique Floyd and Charles Jackson again. I had another very positive conversation with the Greensboro Parks and Rec leadership. My fear is that they are agreeing with me and hearing me out, but there is little being done about this problem. This disparity is negatively impacting our young girls, depriving them of the benefit that sports provide, such a sense of community, confidence, and early establishment of physical activities. Phil Fleischman, the director of Greensboro Parks and Recreation, and Summerfield Recreation Association have provided me the breakdown of the numbers of girls and boys who participated in baseball, softball, and basketball for fall, winter, and spring. Greensboro has a total of 1,161 that participate in basketball and baseball. 1,027 are boys, 81 are girls, and 53 did not specify. Summerfield, a town of a much smaller population, has a total of 1,466 youth that participate in basketball, softball, and baseball. 1,209 are boys, and 257 are girls. There's no excuse for the lack of opportunities for girls in a city this size. Oak Ridge, Summerfield, Stokesdale, High Point, Wentworth, Madison, Mayodan, and Eden can offer dedicated sports leagues, but Greensboro cannot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. McCray, I believe you told me you were looking into this.
Oh,
All right.
Yes, that's correct. And Parks and Recreation staff did meet with Mrs. Sager, as she mentioned, to talk through some potential opportunities to partner with some of our nearby municipalities that have established program and league opportunities for young girls in sports. Parks and Rec does remain committed to identifying opportunities to expand. She is correct in that we do offer co-ed leagues for our youth where young girls can participate, such as basketball, baseball, and in 2 different leagues, as well as our cheerleading. There has been attempts in previous years to expand softball offerings, as well as some other basketball clinics to gauge further interest for specific girls and women-only leagues. And the participation at that time had not been very well received, and so we still remain committed to working with other programs and other agencies to see how we can partner to expand that. We do offer some additional sports through some of our partnership programs with some additional providers through soccer and other programs, so we will continue to look in that and continue to have that discussion with Mrs. Sager. So we appreciate her for bringing that concern to us, and we look forward to working with her to resolve. Thank you.
Thank you. That is the end of the speakers from the floor on non-agenda items. Now we will move on to the consent agenda items G1 through G16. G11 has been removed. Do we have a motion? Moved by Mr. Holston, seconded by Mrs. Thurm. Council, please vote. And that passes 7-0. We now move on to the public hearing portion of our agenda. We already heard item H1. Item H2 is a public hearing to receive public comment on the recommended fiscal year 2024-2025 annual budget. All speakers are allowed up to 3 minutes, and we have a number of speakers signed up. We'll start with Kenneth Cole, Sadie Lansdale, Amy Hall. And if you would move to the window side of the chamber as your names are called.
This is where Keep Gate City House was speakers, and you're such a wonderful mayor. But you're a better friend. I don't know about better. You're as good a friend.
If you would give us your name for the record.
Good afternoon, City Council. My name is Kenneth. I live at 1228 Pleasant Ridge Road. My father is a Christian pastor, and when I was growing up, he would take me to church on the third Saturday of every month, and I would come in hungry and wanting to do what I wanted, make my own plate, but I would choose to be obedient because that's what I was told to do. And I made a plate, poured a cup of orange juice, and then was instructed to hand it to a homeless person. It was on those experiences that I learned that part of my faith was bringing space, community, and resources to people who our society has left out. That same father of mine who put this value in me later in my life, just a couple of years as a child, was tragically hit by 2 cars and put into a coma. And he was in the hospital for multiple months. And our 2-income family became a 1-income family. And my mother did everything that she could to keep everything together, but ultimately it didn't cut it. And as a child, we got evicted. If it hadn't been for my family members, people of my faith community who decided to hold us down with space, community, and resources that we needed in order to survive, who knows where we'd be. I remember not being in school for a little bit of time. I remember having to switch schools as a kid. I remember not knowing which family member I was going to have to stay with. I remember missing my mom for weeks and months at a time because she couldn't stay with us. She had to stay with my grandparents or find a hotel with my dad, or not with my dad. She had to stay with my grandparents while taking care of my dad. It was after that when my dad got out of the hospital and suffered brain injury, he had trouble holding a job, and we battled these struggles with evictions over and over, being evicted multiple times. And so I'm here today to first say I feel amazingly joyful, even amid knowing the despair of evictions, that this city council has opted to put $440,000 in the budget to keep Gate City House with the team program. And I want to also say that in my experience, when I saw what happened with my mother, one of the things that would have helped her out when we were in that state of emergency, it's not as though we needed this for the entirety of our life, but one of the things that would have helped them out was rental assistance. And so what I'm here to advocate for today is that in addition to the $440,000, that this city council can provide the resources to keep people in the space that they need for us to have stable communities, with $1.5 million added for rental assistance for the folks who need it in this city and in this county. Thank you so much.
while the next speaker comes up, I just want to call Sadie Lansdale again, Lahab Zakim, and Devis Simpson. If you would move to the window side of the room, and if I've mispronounced your name, I apologize.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Amy Hall. I am 36 years old. I'm a mother of two and a proud member of Guilford for All. I wanted to tell you guys about back in 2019 how I was wrongfully evicted from my home. I had a landlord that she was friendly at first, but the second we started bringing issues to her attention, she started to have a nastier attitude, and we kept telling her about a leak in our ceiling, and she kept saying there's nothing wrong, just the bathroom upstairs overflowing. I suggested her opening up the ceiling to make sure there wasn't any permanent water damage, and she refused to do so, so I called code enforcement. And they came in, and since it wasn't an active leak, there was nothing they could do, but they did get her for some peeling paint on the outer hallway that leads to the upstairs apartment. And not even 2 weeks after that, I was served with an eviction notice. And never missed any rent, never fell behind. I did end up going to the courthouse and getting some advice. They said to withhold my rent until the court date and give it to her right then and there. And we never knew that she withdrew that eviction. She never notified us because she found out that it was against the law for her to evict us because we call code enforcement. And then shortly after that, she hit us with a non-payment of rent. So I just followed the advice of what I was given at the court, and they ended up evicting us anyway, even though I paid her in front of the judge. And luckily, I had family that could take me in along with my wife and my two children, or we would have ended up homeless because we had nowhere else to go. And that's why I feel like it's important to fund this Keep Gate City House for the $440,000, because if I had had proper representation, I probably wouldn't have been evicted from my home because I didn't know my rights. In addition to the $440,000, I believe that the $1.5 million is very important to help people who do fall under hard times and have a hard time keeping up with their rent, because it's just really important to make sure that everybody can stay in their home, because home is your safe place. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lahav Zakin. I am 15 years old and just finished my freshman year at New Garden Friends School. I am here today because, like everyone in this room, I have seen how many homeless people Greensboro has and seen the stories and headlines about how many people in this city cannot afford the rising cost of rent and how many face evictions. I am here because I see people in Greensboro suffering, and I want to do something about it. Last year, 16,000 people were evicted in Guilford County. That's the equivalent of 230 New Garden Friends high schools. That's 16,000 stories, families, people with lives that have been upended, uprooted by this crisis. Evictions destabilize every neighborhood and community in this city. They negatively impact the mental, physical, and psychological well-being of people, and they cause increases in violence. Throughout the Keep Gate City House campaign with Guilford for All and AFSC, we have been talking about fully funding the TEAM program for eviction legal support, and I want to thank our city manager for including the TEAM funding in our budget proposal for this year, and for the support that many on this council have shown for that. But there is more we can do. Part of the root cause for all of these evictions is the high cost of rent. That is why we are also asking for $1.5 million for rental assistance, so that people can stay in their homes and not face evictions. Preventing evictions before they happen creates a happy, healthier, and safer city, and it saves the city money. It means that kids can focus on school and not have their performance impacted by not knowing where they're going back home in the afternoon. The reason I am so involved in this campaign, despite the fact that I'm just 15 years old, is because I really care about seeing the lives of people in Greensboro improved. That's why I am proud to say that I am on Team Tenant, and I know that together we can tackle this problem. Thank you for supporting Team, and I hope you join me on Team Tenant by backing rental assistance.
After our next speaker, Patricia Starnes, Latoya Fields, and Shantae Woody, if you would move to the window side of the room.
I got to follow that.
Yes.
A lot of enthusiasm. How you doing? Yeah, piggyback off of that. My name is Davey Simpson. I've been in Greensboro for 20 years. Graduated from Western Guilford High School. Graduated, got a bachelor's at Winston State University. Played football, member of Phi Beta Sigma fraternity. I actually got invited to a Guilford for All meeting. Came and knocked on my door, and I went to a meeting across the street at the church. I stay in Ray Warren right now. Shout out to Guilford for All. Shout out to the Keep Gate City House and the team and the program and whatnot, and I appreciate the opportunity. Last August 2023, instead of signing a new lease, I was hit with eviction papers. We got a new property manager and assistant property manager, and they came in and supposed to be doing some looking at some windows that got damaged in my apartment. Next thing I know, I'm getting an eviction letter. Okay, I was told to turn my keys in. I've never been in this situation, and the allegations that was brought to me wasn't about my rent and paying, because right now I'm not paying any rent. It's income based, but it was focused on subleasing supposedly, and also focused on activity. Okay, now I actually emailed Mayor Vaughn and a couple of city council, probably spoke to some of you guys. I've done in the past year, last year, the year before, because of my electricity being cut off. Somebody told me, hey, just email the mayor. So I got a response back from some of you guys, including Mayor Vaughn, and told me to reach out to legal aid. And I reached out to legal aid, and I'm thankful. I realize they don't work every day, and I realize that the information that they provide is very lucrative and very necessary. And if it wasn't for them, I probably would just fold it and just turn my keys in and just dealt with being evicted. But 3 continuances later, the end of April, they came up with a memorandum of understanding. One of the lawyers from legal aid with me and my property manager that doesn't know me, and I signed that off, and my eviction was dismissed in the courtroom. And yesterday, thank you. Yesterday, I just signed off on a new lease and whatnot. But I know some people who's not that fortunate. So definitely pushing for the $1.5 million. And like I said, a personal testimony. Shout out to Give for All again, because that's the first thing on the list about housing. Housing is everything. And most of us are literally a paycheck or two away from being homeless. And we all understand that. And some of them has been homeless. And I've helped out a lot of people who are homeless. So I thank y'all for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Mr. City Manager, Interim City Manager, excuse me. I know we have a number of rental assistant programs already in place. Can we get some data on how much that funding is and how it's spent and exactly what programs we currently have on rental assistance? Thank you.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. We'll get it to you tomorrow.
The lady's up to speak.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Starnes Blaine. I'm 71 years old. I've always worked, and I moved here in the 1900s, probably 70s. But long story short, I rented from Housing Authority once, but then I was able to just pay my rent through housing, another form of housing. But as I was working then, but after getting sick and I could not return to work, I was only receiving my Social Security check, and I knew I could not make the payments there. But he wanted me to stay because of this and that and that and other, but that's not paying the bills. So I had to vacate, and I made that decision on my own and put my things in the storage. And well, I was here at my daughter's house or here there, but anyway, there was a lady that needed someone to live with her. She lives on 1819 Martin Luther King Drive, Jr., and I live there now with her, but she's my age, and if something should happen, I don't know what I would do. So, but this homeless thing is getting me, because I had a play daughter, and it's sad, but she got evicted, and she took 4 of the children with their daddy and 2 girls with her big daughter that was grown. And she made the decision to live in her car. They went to check on her one morning. She was unresponsive. They kept calling her name, and they said she tried to get out of the car, and she just dropped dead right there. And she was like a daughter to me, because she would try to take care of me, and she was sick too. But I don't want to see the people on the street anymore. It hurts when I look at them. It's sad. And I know something can be done. You know, it starts somewhere. Something can be done. And I thank you all for letting me speak.
Hello, my name is Latoya Fields, and I am a landlord, and I also reside in the MLK neighborhood. I've experienced both sides of the fence, being a landlord, being able to house people, and also renting from property management companies. In November of 2023, I was illegally evicted from the property where my husband and I resided. He removed my property, and he removed my property from the house, and he changed the locks on the doors, so I could not get back in. This is a violation of anyone's lease. And I was told to go to legal aid, women's resource, family justice. I went to all of these places, and no one could help me. Now I know how it feels to evict someone. This organization, Give Up for All, is well needed. I kind of feel bad because I am a landlord, but again, if you've ever put yourself in someone else's shoes, you would know how it feels. I was not given any representation whatsoever. It wasn't even about the money. I have the money, but no one will represent me. And the charge is called malicious turn of doors. So if you could, please help this organization in any possible way, because the organizations that we have out now, Legal Aid and Family Resource and Family Justice, they are not allowed to do certain cases, and this is well needed. Thank you guys so much.
After our next speaker, Deborah Moore, Anita Washington, and Esther Jacoby. I'm sorry, you're going to have to pronounce that for me.
Good evening. My name is Shantae Woody, and I don't have an address. I wasn't going to get up here and say anything today, but I thought it would be doing a disservice to myself and my fellow community members if I didn't. I want to speak about a little bit of the things that I do here in Greensboro. I moved here in 2010, and I immediately fell in love with this city. It is a lower grade from where I come from, Philadelphia, the hustle and bustle of the city, but I saw the city vibes with a country flair to it, and I just fell in love with the city. I decided to stay here and raise my children here. I've been a part of community building here in Greensboro. I've fed people through Glenwood United Methodist Church, feeding 200 people on Mondays. I host a weekly market, the People's Market, on Thursday evenings. We have a program called Side Hustle University where we help people find their way in entrepreneurship. And then I came across this organization, Guilford for All. And for the past couple years, I have knocked on doors and telling people that they have hope even when I didn't have a place to go to after I knocked on their doors. Weekly, I hear stories from folks that come and just set up their booth just to sell lemonade or shea butter or T-shirts because their rent has skyrocketed. I've heard stories of them getting their car out of repossession, and I give them hope even when I feel like there is none, but I know that there is. I'm not going to talk to you about the team program because you already know what that's about. I'm not even going to talk to you about rental assistance because you already know that's needed. I just wanted to come up here and be a part of making history because I know that we're going to turn this thing around. And I just wanted to tell you guys my story. Thank you.
Our next speaker.
Good evening to the City Council. My name is Deborah Moore, and I'm 66 years old, and I'm a retiree of the United States Postal Service, and I live here in Greensboro. I have a concern that when I'm going down the street, that there are people that are homeless, and they're in my way, driving a car, and I be praying, I don't want to hit these people. I don't want to hurt them. And when I feel a way in my neighborhood when I see them going through my dumpster, they're close to my home. I know they're needy. I've been needy my own self. And then when I'm going to a store, they're outside. They need their accent, and I'm confronted. But if I don't have something, I can see the frustration on their face. And we know that if you don't give them something, they're frustrated. And I try to do what I can, but the truth is I'm really on a budget my own self. All families deserve safety, stability, and fairness. We know that Greensboro has a housing affordability crisis. Affordability is the word. And it's evident to everyone in our everyday life. That's why I've teamed up with Guilford for All so that I could help with this crisis. But my real concern, the reason I really wanted to talk was because rent isn't just rent anymore. Rent is rent plus add-ons. Now, landlords are adding these perks to everyone. You're not given a choice. You have to pay. Even if you don't use the perks, you have to pay. And right now, in my rental apartment, there's up to 6 perks added to rent. Now, if I can't pay them, the bad thing is that I could end up going to eviction court. And when I get there, the judge is only going to see the total of rent due. It doesn't explain that. It's rent plus 6 add-ons. And it's gotten to the point where I'm paying up to $148 a month extra above rent for those perks. And I'm not given a choice to say, I really don't want cable. But if I don't pay, even if I don't want cable, I better pay for it. Otherwise, I could be evicted. And I'm concerned that, $148 a month, how much is that a year? $1,776 a year. Not rent. That's added to rent. So I'm saying that to please help us. Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
After our next speaker, Terrell Dungy, Michael Pearson, Cass Oti.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anita Washington. I wanted to thank each and every one of you from the bottom of my heart and from my friends with Keep Gay City House for the conversations that you had and the concern that you have taken with this campaign. I want to thank you for your support with the $440,000. And I would like you to also consider the $1.5 million for rent control. When I go into eviction court every week, I see the elderly, I see people with disabilities, I see college students, single mothers coming in needing rental assistance. One story that caught me was a college student that came in and he was really, really afraid that he was going to lose his housing. We all remember those days when we were in college. Those were some rough days. So let's put some money aside for these people that may need some assistance. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be in front of you again. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that Esther heard me call her name. I know I probably pronounced the last name incorrectly, so Esther, if you're still
She
here.
unfortunately had to leave.
Okay.
Same thing with Sadie.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling again. Good evening, Council. My name is Terrell Dungy. I am a community organizer with American Friends Service Committee and a neighbor in the old Asheboro community just around the corner. I've been working with community members to bring some more attention to eviction prevention efforts of the TEAM project for just over 6 months. In just that short time, we were able to rally support from all over Greensboro in the county to get this council to adopt our proposal for putting $444,000 to expand the TEAM program to help them reach more tenants and help them avoid evictions. This is a great resource to help tenants navigate the eviction process, as well as a great resource for landlords that want to work with their tenants struggling during hard economic times. I was also astonished that in just 6 months we were able to come together. You've heard a lot about how Guilford for All has taken part in letting folks know about this campaign, but also our faith leaders, our homeowners, landlords, tenants, and now City Council themselves, to introduce something transformative for our renting community. This is something worth celebrating, and I want to start by sharing a huge appreciation to City Council for listening to community and adopting this funding proposal. Personally, I've been up in front of y'all for lots of different things, so it feels really good to see y'all coming to the table with community to make this change really happen. And just for your information, more cities across North Carolina are fighting for tenant protections like those the TEAM program provides, and you're leading the way with this kind of initiative on how we should be funding and caring for our tenant communities in our cities. So thank you for that. I also want to share a huge appreciation to the hard work of our coalition partners and campaign volunteers. Just a show of bodies. If you are here to support Keep Gate City House, if you could stand, if you're able.
We need to give them a round.
Thank you. These are the people who help us have conversations with their faith communities, canvass at bus depots, have delegations to our city council members. We genuinely do not think this would have happened without that communal support bringing this in front of the council. So thank you all again. This is what organizing looks like. And I just want to extend in by saying this is just the start. This expansion of the program is bound to help team reach more tenants. They can help with their legal resources. But one of their biggest components to their care program is that rental assistance component. We know during COVID, we got $13 million to help with rental assistance and utilities. That helped 2,600 families. $1.5 million is just a starting investment that we really think could help more folks, with just hundreds right now, but that's a start. So please, as you're looking at the budget, look for $1.5 million or more to put towards the rental assistance. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, City Council, and Interim City Manager. My name is Cass Otley. I'm an organizer with the Greensboro City Workers Union, UE, Local 150. I'm here this evening to talk about the city budget. With inflation and the cost of housing and everyday expenses going up, moving the minimum wage for city workers from $18 to $18.75 is just not enough for city workers to be able to live in the city that they work in. Most city workers have 2 and 3 jobs just to make ends meet. Economic Policy Institute did a study on a family of 2 adults with 2 children living in Greensboro, and they would need a combined income of $90,000 and $90,286 for a year, which would be both parents making a minimum wage of $23 per hour to live comfortably in the city of Greensboro. With city workers being exposed to hazardous materials, chemicals, exposure to dangerous conditions, city workers need to receive hazard pay. The city workers are asking for a minimum wage of $22 an hour, a $25 minimum wage for heavy equipment operators, a 3% CDL differential pay, 7% hazard pay, daily overtime, and a fair grievance policy. Currently, city workers, if they are terminated, have to write a letter to the city manager to appeal their termination. We feel that there should be a fair grievance policy in place where workers can speak before either a board or a panel to be able to explain and defend themselves before they're terminated. City workers are essential workers. They keep the city running and need to be paid and respected as such. While we appreciate the interim city manager having a meeting with city workers, unfortunately, most of the municipal workers could not attend because it was held at 10 o'clock in the day while they were working. We would really like to request another meeting with the interim city manager in the evening where municipal workers can attend and have their voices, needs, and herds considered in this budget. Thank you for your time.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Is it appropriate? Excuse me, miss. I don't know, who are you with? Because this is interesting that we're just now hearing this for the very first time.
We were actually at
And our minimum wage was not 18, it was 15. And so it went from 15 to 18.75, and I know that because I fought for that. So I'm a little concerned that we haven't had any discussions before now, and I think things are being put out that are not accurate, and we do have a grievance policy. There may be some valid concerns in the content of what's being said. I'm always open to sit down and listen and hear, but that hasn't happened here. And I'm a little concerned that it looks like we don't care about our workers, and that's not true. I'm the number one person who will fight like hell when they start talking about raising police and fire. I say, oh no, you cannot leave out our public service workers in field ops and
We
water,
attended the
sewer.
public budget hearing, the community event where the budget was discussed, and we asked a bunch of these questions while we were there.
I wasn't at that event, so I
Yeah.
don't know what that is, but have you had a chance to even sit down with our city manager?
No, we have not. We tried to get in touch with the former city manager prior
Right.
to all the changes, so we have not had a chance to speak with him. So the meeting that they
I
had,
would like to suggest that you do that first.
yes, we would love
Okay,
to be able to do that.
That's what I'd like.
But we were
Well,
at the,
and I would just like to
And-
say,
and-
normally in years past, we have been.
We have, yeah.
And nobody has reached out to
Nobody
council.
nobody.
And in
Okay.
years past, somebody has always reached out to council. We've had meetings or Zoom calls, and this year there was no outreach.
Nobody. As a matter of fact, I even reached out to one of the workers myself this afternoon, when I woke up and saw it on the news that there was going to be a protest in a governmental plaza, and I was very shocked because very open to hearing and listening.
yeah, we did go to the community forum, and we did ask questions at that
I don't
time.
know, but I would like for us to really restart this process. 'Cause
Well,
this-
we've only got 2 weeks.
Yeah, we only got 2 weeks to figure
And
out.
we
this
would love
anyway.
to sit and
But-
meet. We
but
would love to
those
do that.
raises, and the city manager sent us something recently that pretty much everybody is almost, only a couple of people are at 19. Everybody else is over that.
And you're saying that the current minimum
Only
wage,
4 workers. Only
right.
4
Was it
workers.
Right.
So-
Our new budget will have they'll be making well over 20.
so you said the current minimum wage was not $18 prior to this.
It was 15, and so we went.
So it was $15 moving to, so that's a
we-
typo, and that's my
and-
fault because I read that it said $18, that it was only going up 75 cents.
Our workers have had two
And that was
4%
printed.
raises last year. They're going to get another 4%.
Well, and
this
there was a
year.
market adjustment too.
And then we adjusted some things as well. So I think we're one of the leaders in paying our workers. You know, I agree there needs to be a living wage.
Yes.
But I would say that we're very open and cognizant of the fact that, yeah.
I know that Charlotte right now has $23 an hour minimum wage. They just moved up from 22.
Well,
So that information is
a lot of our
incorrect.
workers will be close to that, if not above that, with
Okay.
4% and all that.
Okay, well, we would love to meet with any of the council that would like to meet, and we would love to meet with the interim city manager in the evening, if possible, when city workers can attend. Thank you.
So our next speaker, Michael Pearson, followed by Samuel Hawkins, followed by Beth McKee Huger, followed by Philip Marsh, and I believe those are the only speakers we have signed up to speak on the budget. Might want to wait till they close the door. Please close the doors. Okay. Mr. Pearson?
Good evening. My name is Michael Pearson, and I work for Water Resources. I am also part of the UE 150 chapter for Greensboro City Workers, and I am here tonight on hazard pay. I wrote a little something, and I would just like for City Council to listen to it and possibly even consider it. So as crew members, city crew workers should be compensated for dealing with hazardous materials, the same as hospital, fire, tanker truck drivers are. We deal with waterborne and airborne infectious diseases, sewer flies, confined spaces, and more on a daily basis. Change.org has reported and started a petition on concerns of nationwide employees in an article on April 13, 2020 by Marilyn Taylor entitled Hazard Pay and First Responder Benefits for Water and Water Wastewater Workers. The CDC has done a study called Biological Hazards in Sewer Water and Wastewater Treatment Plants in 2024, a series compiled by the CPWR, a construction and training group. on stackscdc.gov. The National Library of Medicine has done a study as well on occupational hazards and for sewer and sanitation workers on December 12th, 2008 on their website as well. Their findings were the same as the CDC. We also believe that the application of OSHA's HAZWOPER, the Hazardous Waste Operations and Emergency Response Standard on OSHA.gov, applies to field operations street cleaning crews who clean up homeless camps as well as trash pickups every day. Hazards that crew members face: crew members are at risk of engulfment in trenches, confined spaces, infectious diseases from water and airborne mist coming out of the sewers, and solid waste materials handled, not to mention traffic safety hazards in work zones. PPE is required while performing duties, from hard hats, glasses, gas meters, respirators, retrieval units, ventilation units, boots, Tyvek suits, and more. Diseases workers are at risk of contracting are polio, tetanus, typhoid, E. coli, and hepatitis, just to name a few. We are also at risk of falling into 30-foot wet wells. Wet wells carry raw sewage to the water treatment plants. Field operation and solid waste workers deal with these very same hazards with trash pickups as well. To conclude, for the UE 150 Greensboro chapter for city workers, we believe that the city workers need hazard pay included into their salaries. We have to deal with heavy traffic areas, being inside of trenches that collapse or can explode in some cases, working in toxic environments that require us to wear gas meters, Tyvek suits, and retrieval units. If we are engulfed or fall into wastewater wet wells, our lives are pretty much at risk. And, we have problems, major problems, and we just want our voices heard. And we thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Hello and good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the Greensboro City Council. I'm Samuel Hawkins, Commissioner with the Minimum Housing Standards Commission. We, the council-appointed members of the Minimum Housing Standards Commission, have voted unanimously to support the efforts of Keep Gate City Housed and the Legal Resource Program, Tenant Education Advocacy Mediation, or TEAM, in seeking $440,000 annually to be included in the 2024 through 2025 city budget, which will fund TEAM on a full-time basis. This letter brings to light three very important reasons why this funding is so urgent and necessary. The ability that this funding has will afford tenants without legal representation while facing eviction through the legal system an opportunity to ensure that they have access to legal counsel, present options to the tenants that would not require an eviction, and potentially keep those tenants from having an eviction on record. The Greensboro City Council has taken a spoken stance on numerous occasions during city council meetings on affordable housing, the rising trend of the homeless population, and seeking solutions to prevent a greater level of homelessness, which can become the direct result of evictions. Your actions in making this a reality speaks to potential reductions of all three. This decision has the intentional ability to impact so many tenants and their families. Greater still is the ability for this action to serve as more than merely a line item in the city budget. It can become a decision and investment that leads to a lasting legacy for a group of elected officials who have decided to make a difference in the lives of those whom they were elected to serve. Initially, as the crafting of the original draft of this letter began, an anecdote came to mind. It was of a speaker who shared an experience with the attendees at a luncheon. The speaker began with, "A white trash bag makes for good luggage." Although few knew at the time, the speaker alluded to packing up the bare necessities in such bags quickly because their family was evicted and had to leave their home. Not only was it jarring to hear, but so many were pierced by this speaker's story of an experience which took place during their childhood. That speaker has become an incredible servant leader and done phenomenal work with a number of organizations. Imagine what could have been without such a traumatic event. So our ask is this: do you have the vision to see the type of transformative impact that adding this investment for team to the budget will have with our residents? Thank you.
Thank you. Beth McKee-Huger.
Good evening. I'm Beth McKee-Huger. I live just outside the Greensboro city limits at 6017 Bush Road in Brown Summit. And I want to thank you for fully funding the Nussbaum Fund last year and this year after many years of less than full funding, and especially for devoting most of that to program. However, I have been trying to find out, and particularly for designating the $440,000 for team, but I've been trying to find out unsuccessfully for several months what the Nussbaum Fund has been spent for in the past, what plans for spending it in the coming year, to know what funding is available for creative partnerships in the community. I'm working with a lot of faith communities who want to work with the city about affordable housing, but I haven't been able to find out what resources the city has. Sometimes we'll say a lot of funds are, quote, available, but then I hear that they're committed, but I haven't heard what they're committed to. So in the interest of transparency and accountability and partnerships, it would be really helpful to have more communication. The other thing about the budget is each section has, what the money would be spent for, and it has how many people are expected to be benefited, served by, or impacted by the funds. And for the Nussbaum Fund, despite having almost $900,000 more than last year, the number of people to be projected to be served is considerably less than the actuals in 22-23 before the Nussbaum Fund was restored. So it would be really helpful to have better information, bolder goals rather than, we'll just put down any number of people that we think we might serve. So thank you very, very much for committing these funds, but let's work together to know what's really possible to do with them.
Beth, I'm glad you asked about that because I asked about that a week or two ago.
Good.
And I've been staring at it for about the last 45 minutes when we're talking about Guilford for All, we're talking about housing appropriations, and I'm looking at it, and this is Nasha sent it to me, so I know she has it readily available to send to everybody. But it's amazingly disappointing what you're going to see. Where money's been spent, the budget on salaries versus expenses, benefits versus expenses. It seems like we're helping ourselves instead of helping the folks that we're supposed to be helping. Consulting services. I will tell you, there is, it looks like $411,790 $6 that's unencumbered. So maybe we can use some of those funds to help actually get some things done. I don't know, this is as of May 23rd. But when you look at this budget, I encourage all of you to look at this budget. I asked for it a couple work sessions ago. There's some significant concern. I'll give you my last example is the department M&O, maintenance and operations. $866,000 was budgeted for routine operational expenses such as printing and maintenance. Now, granted, luckily, only $211,000 have been spent on printing and maintenance. That seems like a very significant budget mess up. So I'm glad you asked about that question. I'm glad Sharon asked about what other rental impacts we have. But I can tell you there's going to be more questions about this Nussbaum fund, and it seems like more of a slush fund than it is going to the people that need the help. So thank you, Beth, for being an advocate for all these years.
Well, thank you, Zach.
And you, if I had your email, I probably do, but I can't see too well. Nasha's got it, and just leave it up there, and she can send you that information.
Yeah, let me just say we were really very specific when we went to the full penny that it needed to go for services, not for admin. And I know we had a couple conversations about it, that we didn't want it to be a shell game where things are moved from one to the other and there was really no gain. So I would be curious myself. I haven't seen Nasha's email, but we were extremely specific that it was that the penny was to be dedicated to resources.
Well, thank you. I had no idea what M&O stood for. And
maintenance and operations.
I know, but I was kind of told, well, that's for projects, and I said,
You got a vague answer about like I get a vague answer.
What kind of projects? Because I could come up with a lot of good projects to present, but like I said, I've asked over and over and over again, even what the past projects have been, and gotten, we'll get back to you later.
Can we get her some breakdown of that?
Yes,
and,
we're happy
as a matter of fact, some breakdown for all of us.
Yes, we'll send that to you all as well as.
She kind of gets the same answer that I always get, very vague. So if we could get some definitive answer.
We don't have time to send that to you. And I said,
Well,
just make a list of what you've already spent.
Beth, I bet I have your email. I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Thank
there
you
will
so
be
much.
some follow-up questions when you see it, because we've underutilized this asset for the people that need it the most, and we've been talking about this homelessness for years. But I think I've hammered it the last year pretty hard, and to see this, I think you'd be disappointed, and we cannot allow this to happen in our next year's budget. So anyway.
Well, I mean, even when we talked about the repair money, the funds, I just don't understand why we weren't able to accommodate more people than we did.
Sharon, you've been on that email about the lady that needs help and she needed assistance. Well, there's $33,000 that hadn't been used for homeless prevention.
I know.
So there's $20,000 that wasn't used for the White Flag Winter Shelter. There's $13,000 that wasn't used for homeless prevention. I mean, there's money there that, quite frankly, I'm tired of sending emails trying to get people help, and nobody responds. And that's not just the City of Greensboro. That's also some of the folks at the Continuum of Care. Like, we got no response for at least the last 5 days.
Nobody responded to me.
Sharon did, and Nancy did, but, like, what are we doing? It's frustrating. It's frustrating.
I told y'all.
Well, thank you for hearing, and it sounds like we're going to be getting more information.
Thank you. And our last speaker is Philip Marsh.
So I'm here to speak on two things in the budget. One has already kind of been addressed. So the first one is public safety. Naturally, the street closure on Washington Street has created some unique circumstances on Washington Street that I just want to make sure that we kind of stay in front of. That has been addressed in a private conversation. Mayor, I know you think I'm hating sometimes whenever I bring those issues up on Washington Street, but hopefully we can get those addressed in an amicable way for everyone over on Washington Street. The second one is somewhat good news, and Sharon, this primarily goes to you. So District 1 has the best charging stations in the city. That is on Elmsley Street at the Walmart Supercenter. They have an Electrify America charging station there. Speaking with communications, they had mentioned that in the budget, some of the charging stations will be replaced in some of the parking decks because they are now defunct. From my understanding, I think those charging stations are charge points, which are trash. We're getting taken advantage of. Whenever we buy those units, those will be obsolete within a few months. Those level 2 chargers are not sufficient for municipal need. And so with that being said, I just wanted to make sure, Mr. Wilson, that when we're looking at updating those charging stations, we are grossly behind other municipalities, specifically Charlotte and Raleigh and Durham, which are our contemporary cities. And we have to get up to speed on that because this is very important, and there's a lot of federal funding there to help assist with that. So the EV Go and Electrify America is the only two appropriate charging stations that we need to be looking at. Anything else is just a waste of time because it takes too long to charge a car, which means that people aren't going to go there. It takes anywhere from 12 to 14 hours. People don't have that time to sit around. Whereas the EV Go and Electrify America only takes anywhere from 20 to 30 to 40 minutes, and they are out of there. So I just wanted to put that on your radar because I know that purchase is coming up. And if we can get that addressed and get the right units, I feel like that will be a positive for the city. And for once, Sharon, I'm glad that District 1 is leading the way for the city. I know that means a lot to you. And so if we can all catch up with District 1, that would be phenomenal. As an EV proponent myself, that would help a lot of people in our community, and I think that would help the city of Greensboro as well. Thank you. Well, I know I come down here complaining a lot, so if I could come and say something positive, I know y'all appreciate that. So. Thank you. Yeah. So, like I said, I mean, Walmart does a phenomenal job with those charging stations. That we're looking at that purchasing, acquisition. That's something that we do want to keep our eye on. So. It takes anywhere from 12 to 14 hours to charge. So, yeah, that's
We do need to take a short break for our closed captioning.
Madam Mayor, could you close the public hearing, please?
Move to close the public hearing.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. 10 minutes.
all aware of the importance of water and how it moves. From the highest points of land, it moves downstream, through streams and rivers, eventually making its way to the sea. Cities like ours collect and treat this resource so it can be used safely by all residents. But this water does not belong to us alone. Once it's been used, it's collected again, treated, and released back into those same rivers and streams, which take it downstream to our neighbors and other towns and cities who depend on it just as much as we do. The City of Greensboro Water Resources collects and treats as much as 11.9 billion gallons per year. Take a moment to think about how you use water daily. When we take showers, we use soap, shampoo, and other products. When we wash dishes and our clothes, we use detergent. Most of what we use water for at home, aside from drinking and cooking, require that we add some product to it. Any personal care products, cosmetics, hair treatment, things that you wash off, all end up in the wastewater that is treated and sent to our neighbors, who use the water for the very same things. It's important that we consider the safety of our downstream neighbors as we use water in our city. By being aware of the types of products we are using, we can avoid the buildup of harmful byproducts. For example, 1,4-dioxane, which is a byproduct of a manufacturing process called ethoxylation, is found in many common household products. This organic chemical is one of many found in trace quantities in both ground and surface waters throughout the U.S. Uses and sources of 1,4-dioxane include industrial solvent stabilizer found in paint strippers, varnishes, soaps, makeup and personal care products, antifreeze, etc. It also exists as an unintended byproduct in manufacturing and recycling of certain plastic and polyester products. Because 1,4-dioxane is a byproduct of the manufacturing process, it's not listed on the label of household products. Read the label of any product that generates suds. Try to avoid chemicals ending in ETH, for example, sodium lauryl sulfate, as well as products that have chemicals ending in oxanol and PEG. Often these chemicals are found in things like laundry detergents, shower gels, and personal care products that create suds. Paints, dyes, waxes, and grease can also contain these chemicals. You can look for unfragranced Castile soaps, or wording like USDA organic and made safe as alternatives. For more information about these alternative products, you can visit the Environmental Protection Agency website at www.epa.gov/saferchoice/products. The City of Greensboro's Water Resources Department has been investigating sources of 1,4-dioxane within the city's sewer collection and wastewater treatment facilities since 2015. Considerable progress has been made, and the department continues to work proactively with local industries through the Industrial Pretreatment Program. Greensboro has a long and strong working relationship with NCDEQ and appreciates its guidance and assistance in our efforts. Through these partnerships, the city fully commits to developing a management strategy to further reduce the release of 1,4-dioxane into waterways that may potentially impact downstream communities who rely on the Hall River and Cape Fear River for their source water. For more information, please visit the City of Greensboro's Water Resources Department online at greensboro-nc.gov/water.
Years ago, Greensboro City staff and council members moved into the Melvin Municipal Office Building, consolidating many departments all under one roof. We chatted with the man for whom City Hall is named about the building and the people who passed through these doors.
I'll bet you since I left, I haven't been in here 8 times.
A walk through City Hall with Jim Melvin is a walk through time. Are you flooded with memories?
Yes, mostly personal. Hazel Birch was the city clerk, wonderful woman. I used to call her the mother of the city. And then Nancy Peake. Nancy was such a wonderful person. She was the city clerk the rest of my term, which meant almost 10 years.
Mostly he remembers the people, men and women who worked by his side to shape Greensboro as we know it today. and he remembers where his passion for community all started.
My daddy, who ran a little one-horse service station down on South Greensboro on Ashburn Street, now Martin Luther King, he really kept trying to make Greensboro better, and I saw that.
He talks about his time with the JCs, where he learned how to serve and began to work closely with Greensboro city government.
Carson Bain, who was mayor at the time, and a great mayor, I might add, he decided we needed to build a governmental complex. That's the way it was sold. And they appointed a committee of 5 people.
Melvin was one of the 5 tasked with designing a building that could bring city services spread over several blocks at the time, all in one place.
But then we selected the architect, who was Catalano, world famous, and we told him that we wanted a state-of-the-art, modern, open office landscaping complex, and that's what he gave us.
What was kind of the idea behind that?
It improved communications, because if all of your associates are working in a complex where they can stand up and look over and ask you a question, that improves communications, and that's what we were all about.
You brought the outdoors in this building, and that's pretty unique.
We wanted that, a botanical garden, and that's what he gave us, and it has sustained, and it gives it an open freshness appeal rather than just a sterile office building where you got nothing but offices.
Staff moved into the building in the fall of 1972. By that time, Melvin was mayor.
You have to admit that this, when you come in here, you get the feeling that this is an organization that's trying to be in touch and be communicative and be open to the public. And that's what this building was all about.
As mayor, Melvin frequently appeared on TV and in newspaper articles sharing news about the city and kept his word to be open to the public.
Every month we'd have a different community meeting, and we'd take one city council person and I would go and meet in this area, and we would cause all the city department heads to go with us. And we made no speeches or anything. What's on your mind? You tell us and we'll try to see if we can get it fixed.
After 10 years as mayor, Melvin retired. How did your name get on this building?
Well, I had nothing to do with it. I was retiring in 81, November of 81. John Forbes was mayor. We had a retirement dinner, and they said, we're going to name the city hall after you. And I'll be truthful, I felt uncomfortable about that. Because to me, this is the Greensboro City Hall. And it's not the Greensboro or whatever it is, Melvin. But I appreciate it.
He walked away from City Hall, but not the city.
Mr. Bryant, one day he said to me, he said, you know, I'm going to keep my eye on you because I don't want you to take the name off of Bryan Park and put it to somebody else.
Melvin and Joseph Bryan had a friendship built on a shared passion for making Greensboro great.
What we didn't see coming, I don't think as a community, was the loss of all of our major corporate entities, textile, tobacco. Burlington Industries was the largest textile company in the world. They had 3,000 people that worked out there in the World Headquarters Center, and it's now a shopping center. Well, you don't lose people like that, or firms like that not have a big impact.
With Bryan's help, he set out to make a positive economic impact on the area.
Bryan Boulevard was one of our priorities for years, and we finally got it built, and Mr. Bryan got to see the next to the last interchange. But look at what an asset that is to us now.
Melvin remained laser focused on creating jobs for Greensboro.
I always felt if you get somebody a good job, you've given them a chance to do it.
He believes Toyota is going to do just that.
10 years from now, they won't know who any of us are, but there'll be 10,000, 15,000 people working on this site with good quality jobs for one of the best corporations in the world. Now think about what a good feeling that is.
Melvin is excited to see the changes that project will bring to the area, and he has even more ideas.
Obviously, the Lord's going to retire me someday, but right now I got to finish the Toyota project. My new dream is that 1997, there was a builder going bankrupt across Lake Townsend, and there was a possibility of buying 525 acres out there. So the foundation bought it. And we paid $1.5 million for that. I would love to see the city soccer go back out there and put about 20 more fields on that site. We could become the amateur lacrosse soccer capital of the country.
Melvin doesn't find himself in the building that bears his name often, but it makes him proud when he does. Not because his name is over the door, but because the people inside share his passion for Greensboro.
Well, someday they'll probably scrape the name off this thing and put somebody else on it. But anyhow, I'm very proud of it.
What would you like your legacy to be?
That I cared about the city. And that's important.
item H3, which I have a lot to read for this item, so be patient. Item H3 is a resolution making certain findings and determinations regarding the proposed financing of a new fleet servicing garage and various capital improvements and equipment acquisitions for the City of Greensboro, North Carolina, and requesting the Local Government Commission to approve the financing arrangement. This is the hour and the day of the public hearing on a trust agreement or similar installment financing agreement, called the agreement, to be entered into by the City of Greensboro, North Carolina, the city, pursuant to Section 160A-20 of the General Statutes of North Carolina as amended, providing for the issuance of limited obligation bonds, the bonds, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $47,500,000 for the purpose of providing funds together with other available funds to A, pay the costs of acquiring, construction, and equipping a new fleet servicing garage, and 2, various capital improvement projects and equipment acquisitions, including, without limitation, yard waste collection carts, parks and recreation facilities improvement, and equipment improvements to the Greensboro Science Center, the Cultural Arts Center, and the Heritage House, library improvements, solid waste transfer station improvements, police facility security improvements, streetscape and crosswalk improvements, including lighting and other corridor improvements, office renovations, and other miscellaneous items, collectively the project, and B, certain financing costs related thereto. If the city enters into the proposed agreement, it will secure its obligations thereunder by executing and delivering a deed of trust, granting a lien on the site of the new fleet servicing garage, constituting a portion of the project, together with all improvements or fixtures located or to be located thereon, subject to certain permitted encumbrances. We do not have any speakers on this item. Moved by Mrs. Thurm, seconded by Mrs. Hightower.
Second.
Council, please vote.
Mayor Vaughn, since Councilmember Hoffman was late in coming in, it is going to reflect an absent vote for her right now, and I cannot make that change. However, once I start working on the minutes, I will make sure that it is reflective of her vote. If she can give me a confirmation of a yay or a nay.
Mrs. Hoffman?
We need to put her back in other words, accept her back in the meeting.
Well, I don't think we can,
Okay.
she's saying.
That's all right.
So you'll have to vote verbally on the next few ones. And that passes 8-0. Item H3 is a resolution making certain findings and determinations regarding the proposed financing of a new fleet servicing garage and various capital improvement projects and equipment acquisitions for the City of Greensboro, North Carolina, and requesting the Local Government Commission to approve the financing agreement. Moved by Mrs. Hoffman, seconded by Mrs. Hightower. Council, please vote.
Come up on the screen.
It's not going to let her.
No, ma'am, it will not let me.
Oh.
All right, moved by Mrs. Why? You can't, do you have a financial interest?
If you think there's going to be any problems,
But you have to verbalize why you're abstaining.
Due to a potential very minor factor, I would rather abstain.
And I'll second that.
All in favor to recuse Mr. Matheny, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes 7-0. Now this item has been moved by Mrs. Thurm and Mrs. Hightower. Please vote. Mrs. Hoffman is recorded as a yes, so it Passes 7-0 with one recusal. All right, now we move into the general business portion of our agenda. I'm going to take item I-4 first, which is a resolution to dissolve the Solid Waste Management Commission. We do have two speakers on that item, Kay Brandon and James Huey.
Thank you, Martha.
And is Mr. Huey, if you would come to the window side. I skipped to 4.
Good evening, Council. My name is Kay Brandon. The Solid Waste Management Commission was created on May 7th, 2013 by the City Council by resolution. The commission was formed to review the city's current and long-term solid waste management and recycling practices. The City Council specifically directed the commission to research options for the alternative utilization of the White Street landfill. The Solid Waste Management Commission serves in an advisory capacity to the city staff and City Council. Members perform an important role working in coordination with staff in the formation of policies and regulations which staff implements and administers. The process ensures that the needs and concerns of the community are represented to city staff and City Council. This process could have been beneficial in dealing with the current situation of the city considering depositing contaminated soil from Bingham Park to the White Street landfill. Some of the accomplishments of the Solid Waste Management Commission include the gas to energy project and solar panels, both located at White Street landfill, bringing additional revenue to the city. Both of these projects could be expanded. The Solid Waste Commission and Sustainability Council may have some general overlapping interest. However, the Solid Waste Management Commission is more narrowly focused and uniquely suited to fulfill the original purpose of the commission. During my term on the commission, each member was dedicated to the work of the commission. I find it perplexing and short-sighted that the council would choose this time to dissolve the Solid Waste Management Commission when there are serious questions from the community about the use of the White Street landfill. Therefore, I am requesting that you reconsider merging the Solid Waste Management Commission with the Sustainability Council.
Mr. Huey?
Good evening. My name is James Huey, and I'm an attorney with the Southern Coalition for Social Justice. Thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment. SCSJ is here today to express our opposition to the dissolution of the Solid Waste Management Commission, but more broadly, we're here to express our concerns regarding plans to open White Street landfill to contaminated soil from Bingham Park. The Solid Waste Management Commission was formed in 2013 in response to the substantial community organizing efforts that prevented the reopening of the White Street landfill to household waste in 2011. This community-driven movement showed that the City of Greensboro needed to examine solid waste management plans with a critical eye towards community opinion. So the Solid Waste Management Commission was formed to discuss these matters publicly. Now, nearly a decade after this successful grassroots movement, the city is planning to move contaminated soil from Bingham Park to White Street landfill.
We haven't voted on that, so you don't know that the city's going to do that.
Well, let him finish.
Sorry,
just 3
apologies.
minutes
The city is considering.
Of nothing. Anyway, go on.
The active consideration of the Solid Waste Management Commission in this matter and identification of individuals who would be willing to actively serve on the commission is needed now more than ever to identify a better option than trucking contaminants to White Street landfill. We stand firmly behind Bingham Park community's remediation efforts. However, remediation cannot come at the expense of Nealtown Farms and the White Street community. The proximity between White Street landfill and Bingham Park is not a coincidence, but the result of compounding generations of environmental racism during which communities of color were sacrificed as dumping grounds for the city. And the City Council should take every opportunity to break this cycle. Although it may cost less and be faster to truck the contaminated soil to White Street landfill, Bingham Park's remediation should evolve a permanent solution that solicits community feedback instead of a remediation plan that perpetuates a cycle of shoving contaminants between different communities of color. By approving the resolution to use White Street landfill as a repository for hazardous waste, the City Council will be doing the opposite. While we share the residents' disappointment that the Council has considered this proposal, or that the City has considered this proposal, we are optimistic that the City Council will listen to its citizens and reach alternate solutions that better serve the community. We emphasize the lack of and need to build trust between local government and affected communities. And so we therefore wholeheartedly support the community's calls for increased transparency during this process, including clarification of the timeline for this process and all opportunities for public comment. We are hopeful that the city, along with the Solid Waste Management Commission, will further explore alternate remediation options that use federal and state funds effectively while soliciting community input, giving substantial public notice about any White Street landfill discussions and decisions, and improving accessibility to all documents that the city takes into consideration during these decisions, including but not limited to documents concerning permitting, leachate collection and disposal practices, and management of all landfills under consideration. We hope measured consideration will lead you to keeping the Solid Waste Management Commission in active operation in this critical time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Kay?
You could go. Oh,
Okay.
we need to close the public hearing.
Well,
Move
to
close the public hearing.
Oh, this isn't a public hearing item. This is.
It's not?
No. It's a general
Oh,
business
it's a
item.
public. I am so sorry.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, I just want to say, Mayor Pro Tem, did you need to go first?
No, I can wait.
Okay. So, I am the Solid Waste Commission liaison, along with Dr. Goldie Wells. We have attended meetings, actually have been very dedicated to the Solid Waste Commission for many, many years. And Ms. Brandon, you know that, you are aware that we always attended meetings, or at least tried to, unless something came up with council. So having attended all those meetings over the years, it appeared to Dr. Goldie Wells and I in the last 3 years that we were only having 2 people show up for commission meetings. So therefore, it seems to me there's a lot of misinformation out there. So we started talking about this 2-3 years ago when we noticed a decline in people wanting to be on the Solid Waste Commission. We reached out to all our district reps. We kept going. We made phone calls. We took everybody on the data bank. We kept calling and calling and calling. We even had some people approved to and came on the Solid Waste Commission, and they would come to 2 or 3 meetings and never show up. So having done that for so many years, when the Community Sustainability Council came aboard, I'm liaison to them, and we also have found out that in the Sustainability Council, there are ways for the Solid Waste Commission members who do show up, too, I might add, for the last 2-3 years. We've never had a quorum, and that can be validated by the minutes, that we can tie everything in together and still make it of something viable with more members. So Goldie and I have been working on this. We've been working with Mr. Wilson on this and trying to figure out what to do, because we don't want the Solid Waste Commission people or anyone concerned about it or anyone who wants to come speak to be denied that. That is not the reason, and the issue with Bingham Park has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that the Solid Waste Commission has had no members basically for 2 years. So we have come to this conclusion that, it might be better for us to put them in with a viable council that is working, that is concerned about these things, and that it can move forward and make sure that the community's concerns, whether it's Bingham Park, whether it's concerned citizens, no matter where it is in the city, that they can all be addressed. It's been brought up in community sustainability about the air burners that we talked about many, many years ago. So things like that are moving along, and I truly believe that everyone will come together, because on every item that the Community Sustainability Council has had, it's been researched, it's been vetted, it comes with more and more information. And we've had a few lovely people who have been showing up to solid waste, but we've done nothing, absolutely nothing, because we've never had a quorum in the last 2-3 years. So, Madam Mayor, I just wanted to state that that's one reason that this is being done, because I think we'll have much more come out of the Sustainability Council due to the fact that we're merging. So those two people that have been showing up, it's Ms. Black and Mr. Williams, have already been appointed to the Sustainability Council and are very excited about those roles, because they know they can bring what they are bringing from the Solid Waste Commission to there, and it has a chance. It has a chance to be heard. So basically, those are my reasonings, and I'll be happy to answer any questions, but it can be proven through minutes, through Dr. Wells when she is back, anyone else, that there has been no interest in this commission. And we hated to see that, which is why we wanted to combine with. We all need to evolve at some point, and this is a perfect way for the Solid Waste Commission to evolve and become a part of the Sustainability Council, which is what it's all about. Thank you.
And I understand that, and I don't disagree. I mean, if you don't come, there's very little you can do. But I know there are some people who have been diligent in coming. I think this probably is a good idea. I just would have preferred that it be voted on later, because we do have an issue that is volatile and passionate among people of two communities in particular, and I would have preferred to have this voted on after that is resolved.
Well, I understand. We do need to dissolve it, because people aren't coming. I mean, your terms are 5 years, and really probably that was too long anyway, because after 2 or 3 years, people get bored anyway. But I'm very disturbed that you would tie in Bingham Park to this, because you're making an assumption that Goldie's part of this. I heard that, and I don't like that at all. Yes, because she's one of the liaisons, and I'll just tell you, I don't like it at all. That Bingham Park issue and moving the soil possibly to White Street is a conversation, yes, we're having, but it does have community input. So a lot of things that are being said are inaccurate things that are being said. I would ask that anybody who spoke tonight, have you toured the landfill? Do you even know what it looks like over there now? What it even doesn't smell like? What you don't see anymore? I mean, it's basically like going into green pastures over there. It's probably more greener than some people's yards. But I'm very disturbed that you would tie it into the fact that we have a commission here that is not active at all. So even if there is an issue that we're talking about dealing with, there'd be nobody to show up to deal with it. So, to me, community sustainability makes more sense. It actually does. And I think, and to the credit of the Parks and Rec, I'm going to say that out loud, even the Solid Waste, they've done a great job of showing just how negatively it will not impact. But I think people need to be open-minded and go tour the landfill, hear what's being said. You may not change your mind. That's okay. But to turn around and wrap it into what just got wrapped into, I think is totally unfair to the issue at hand and to Dr. Wells, who's not here either to speak for herself in reference to why that felt like that was the best decision to disband the Solid Waste Commission.
And thank you, Mrs. Hightower. And I just wanted to add, Dr. Wells and I truly, truly were grieving over having to make this decision, but we were, what else can we do? Well, we can roll it into sustainability, because that is what sustainability is about. Just like Mrs. Hightower so eloquently stated, it is being sustainable, and they will look at things to make us more sustainable.
It really doesn't make sense to keep a commission in place that never has a quorum and can't do anything. So for that purpose alone, I am going to support disbanding this commission. And I also think, there have been some statements made that don't show both sides of the argument. There are a lot of people who actually do support the transportation because it can be done in a safe, manageable way. And another big plus was the fact that it would actually close the White Street landfill 4 years sooner. Was it 4 or 8? And that is a big plus to a lot of the people who live in that neighborhood, that it would be closed 8 years earlier and would take any risk off the table. That is a very big plus. The other thing that was brought up at a meeting a week or two ago, by taking the soil to White Street also makes the duration of the project significantly shorter. Otherwise, there are going to be a number of neighborhoods around Bingham who will have trucks going in and out of their neighborhood for over a year. So we have a lot of things that we need to look at, but I don't think it is fair to say that the neighborhood has spoken and they are in opposition. There is a controversy right now, and there's not a meeting of the minds, and that's why it will be incumbent on us to make the best decision.
Right. Well,
and I respect what you said, but there are a lot of people who are in opposition in the neighborhood. I've talked to them. They've called me, and so that was one of the most passionate decisions that I've ever made, to close that landfill. And I made a promise to the people that I would not ever vote to open it, and I'm not. And that's where I am.
But, let me just say, when we made the vote, because I voted, I voted once with you back in 19 or 2000 when it was closed, and then when that council tried to open it up again, it was closed to municipal solid waste. It will still be closed to municipal solid waste.
Right.
This is not opening it up. It is using it for a process it's already being used for. The permit would have to be modified in order to accept more of it than we usually do on an annual basis, but it's not accepting anything different than what is currently being accepted.
No, I just think the narrative and the verbiage, I think, is where we have gotten off track, because actually it is not closed. Have we stopped taking MSW? Yes. But the landfill is still open, because if not, trucks wouldn't go in it every single day and take construction debris with lead and asbestos and all that in it as well. So, it's still open. And so the permit will not be opening it up for any MSW. It will only be opening it up to remove the soil that has bonded with the old contaminants that are 50 and 70 years old. Those things in the ground are 70 years old. Basically, it's a lot of dirt and ash, and yes, some materials that are still bonded to the soil, but it's old. And so essentially, the transportation of it is going to be secure. It's going to be wetted down. It's going to be covered. So much thought is going into this. But the MSW is not going back over there. And I think that's the one narrative that we've just gotten off track about, saying, "Oh, we opening it back up." No, it's never been closed. And future councils down the road could turn around and go right back through this process. If we can if we can close it early and cut the years off of it, let's do that. Wow, it's beneficial. I get it's controversial. I was here too when you all were closing, taking the MSW out of the picture. I was here too, sitting right out there at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I understand what occurred. So I would never do anything and be a proponent of anything that would harm this community. I live in this community
I
too.
believe that, Sharon.
For some reason, people don't think I live in this community. But I live in this community, and I drive by Bingham Park every day because it's on English Street.
But when you live long enough to see a group try to open it again after you thought it was absolutely closed and came that close, it's a fight that was a frightening fight, was a passionate fight that it took years and years to even convince the majority of council that this was worth and right to do.
And I respect that.
It's a fear that people have.
And I understand that, but I would never stand before people that I live amongst and do anything that would cause harm to them, their home, their community. I have to go home to my house every day too. So I get that and I respect that. But I would never, ever do that to anyone that I would have to look at in a grocery store, in my neighborhood, in a church around the corner. So I would never do that. And that's what people are missing. If there was any harm, any danger, then I would absolutely say no. But this has been vetted up one side and down the other. We still are vetting it. We still are investigating. We got HDR who's analyzing it. We've analyzed soil, and we've gone and asked for assistance for money. And I'll tell you something that this city's never gotten before is state and federal money like this. Okay? And so I'm just saying that I wish people would really hear and understand. We are not trying to open up a landfill to put in MSW. It is only to put dirt in the space where is room to put the dirt. That is dirt there now. And it's protected, it's safe, it's lined, it's covered with dirt, it's covered with concrete, it's tested, it's monitored. The water is, all of that is done. So I just want people to be open-minded, though, and hear that and understand.
Well, and I don't want to repeat a lot of what we've said and what I've said. My relationship with the landfill goes back to when it was closed to municipal solid waste. You and Claudette Burrows-White led that fight, and we said that we were not going to open it up to municipal solid waste. When I got back on the city council, there was a city council who I was not going to use that name, but that Bill Knight Council spent 2 years trying to open it up. I mean, they did. And, for a while, I was conflicted, and not conflicted emotionally, conflicted financially. But when that financial commitment went away, I told the city attorney at the time that I wanted to have the ability to vote. And the city attorney said that my conflict was over and that I could vote. And I got sued, and I ended up in court and fought for my right to vote. If I had been able to vote, it would have been a 4-4 tie, and it would have lost. And when the judge said that I had the ability to vote, the applicant pulled the bid, and that's why the landfill was not reopened. I took this very seriously. I took it seriously when I was on council with Yvonne.
Oh, I believe
I took it very seriously when I sued for my right to be able to vote, and I take it just as seriously today. And our statement was that it would be closed to municipal solid waste. That was bringing the trash through the neighborhoods. It was making it smell. It was creating vultures out there. And I think we have been a good steward of that property since we agreed to keep it closed.
Sure. I think, Mary Kay, you and I both ran on that issue when we ran in 2011.
Yes, we did. And
first, our first run for council.
I was just going to add very briefly, we came here tonight to vote on dissolving a commission that no longer worked and no longer helped the community. And I think that is very important that instead of misinformation about it, that we're trying to close it because of this other controversial issue, that needs to not be out there, because Dr. Wells and I talked about this for 2 years, and we didn't want to, and we kept appointing people, and people didn't show up. So that's the reason there. But along with the landfill issue, Sharon and I were some of the ones, and Nancy sitting in the audience, when the municipal solid waste was stopped. Quite often we came to those meetings every single time, and till the 1 a.m. meetings as well. My last comment on this, I would like to move the item, but my last comment on this is the fact that we are forgetting that there was contaminated soil already taken to White Street landfill when the Ralph Johnson Way was built. And the community had no issue with that soil being taken to the White Street landfill. The same kind of soil, and actually even more contaminated than the Bingham Park soil. So that's something that we need to think about, is this has already been done. And when Dale Wyrick went to concerned citizens and told them, this is what we're going to do. We want to make Ralph Johnson Way the Nealtown Road connector. And yes, there'll be trucks going through. And yes, it's going to do this. And here's your contaminated soil. And this contaminated soil is going to be put at White Street landfill. No issue.
No, but they thought that was the last time that would happen. Now here
No,
we are.
no.
Yes, they did.
No, I don't think so.
I do. I think there were those who thought that, Mary Kay.
There's maybe those that thought, but they said, if anything ever comes in the future, we'll come back to you. So we did the same thing this time, and it's a totally different story. I just wanted to say that we have done this. It's not setting a precedent, and it's not setting a precedent that would be followed forever and ever. We don't want to have to do this. We really don't. Yeah, I know, but don't interrupt, Zach. I know, and I wasn't finished, Mr. Matheny. So, Madam Mayor, Mr. Matheny, I understand that, but you talk about things too. When you, well, this is very relevant.
Well, it was brought up that it was brought up, though, that we are closing this kind of underhanded.
Yes, that's what was brought up, and we needed to correct that, so bear with us. So I'm done with my comments. I'd like to make them.
I don't think that you all are underhands. That's not what I think. I think that when you have lived as long as I have lived, and you have seen things happen that weren't supposed to happen, or promised not to happen, and you've seen them happen over and over under different circumstances, it makes you leery. That's all I'm saying.
Understood.
So I do have a motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
And seconded by Mrs. Hightower. Mrs. Hoffman? Yes. And that passes 7-1 with Mayor Pro Tem voting no. Now go back to item I.1, which is an ordinance to annex territory to the Downtown Business Improvement District.
Madam Mayor, we've already done that item. We're on I-2 now, please.
No, we skipped. We went right to
The solid waste.
Well, he recused himself from
that?
No, that's not. No, we went right to I-4.
Solid waste. We didn't do that. You're right, Mayor.
We did not.
L1 or L2. But
No, I said we were going to go right to 4
Right,
because
you're
we had
right.
2 speakers.
I agree.
No, I think it was H3 that when we said you had to. That's why I said he needed to specify because it was still the H3.
We didn't
It was
do
not
H.
it was H3.
Yeah.
We didn't vote on I-1.
We didn't vote on.
Yes.
Yes, we should.
No. Now,
Move item 1. I-1.
Mr. Matheny, would you like to recuse yourself?
Madam Mayor, we have already gone through I-1.
No, we
that
didn't.
was H3.
No, we
That's
did
why I
not.
said you had to articulate.
I would respectfully request to recuse myself again.
That's fine.
The fact that there could be a minor discrepancy, and it's just best that I recuse myself. I would
All right.
appreciate a vote.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, you are recused. Now, do we have a motion?
I moved that we.
Mayor Pro Tem and Mr. Holston.
Okay.
Council, please vote. And that should be 7-0 with 1 recusal. Item I-2 is an ordinance to amend the War Memorial Coliseum Complex Fund in the amount of $8,050,000. Mr. Holston, seconded by Mrs. Hightower. Council, please vote. Larry, maybe for the viewing public, you could do a brief.
Sure. This is council appropriating revenues that the Coliseum will earn before the end of the fiscal year, so they can use it as part of their operational expense.
So I just want the viewing public to realize that we are not funding another $8 million. This will be from anticipated revenues.
Ms. Hoffman, you're a yes.
That passes 8-0. I-3 is an ordinance to appropriate funds to facilitate transition of Coliseum Complex and Tanger Center operations to a private management.
Move the item.
I already moved it. I moved it.
Moved by Mrs. Hightower, seconded by
Me.
Mayor Pro Tem. Council, please vote. And that passes 8-0. Okay. Boards and commissions, Mrs. Hightower, Mr. Holston, Mr. Matheny, Mrs. Abuzawader, Mayor Pro Tem, Mrs. Thurm.
Second. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that sheet says that you have an appointment with Andrew Egbert. That's actually my appointment, and it was originally District 3 or 4. He lives in 5 now. Right, so, but it's my appointment. Yeah. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Mr. Holston, would you?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'd like to reappoint Corey Randolph to the Board of Adjustments. He served 1 term.
All in favor, say aye. That passes. Mrs. Hoffman? No? Okay. Council comments? Mrs. Hoffman?
Just a quick comment. I've spent most of the day in Raleigh. I was at the local government commission. I think I've been serving about 2.5 years. It's really a very important but very interesting commission to serve on. And, you know, we had some ticklish issues today, but I come home really so appreciative of our city staff, our city manager, our Assistant City Manager Davis, Marlene Druga, and others in terms of how we run the city and how we manage our finances. I will tell you that that's not the case for all municipalities in North Carolina, and it's a real problem. So I thank you very much every month that we do not have these issues in the city of Greensboro.
Mrs. Thurm? Mayor Pro Tem? Council comments?
Not one.
Okay. Mrs. Abuzuater?
Yes, I just wanted to mention about it was a very nice police community banquet that was had last week. I know that the mayor was there, a few others, Mr. Holston, Mrs. Thurm. We were there, and it was very touching. They awarded Sergeant Dale Nix the Purple Heart, and that was just a very emotional evening. A week or so ago, I represented council at the North Carolina Department of Transportation Summit as chair of the MPO, and just wanted to let you know that there's a lot of good things coming down the pipeline in transit, transportation, electric vehicles, you name it, the gamut is running there. Also, I gave blood at the Battle of the Badges, and I understand that the police department won. What happens is you give...
Did you have to pick one who you were giving blood for?
I will not confirm or deny who I voted for. So it was the police department, the sheriff's department, and the fire department, and I understand that the police department won. But I did want to say that any of you who are able to give blood, I would highly encourage you to do so. There are some critical shortages right now. I have O negative, so my blood is wanted all over the world. So I did give the power red, and that means that you can, if you are your iron level is good, that you can give, and you can save 6 people instead of saving 1 person.
Wow.
So think about that if you should ever give blood. But I would highly encourage everyone who is able to do so. So, and that's all I had, Madam Mayor.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Did I mention that I attended the and Hugh for Chancellor Martin? The gala, and you did, and the mayor did.
Yeah,
It was very lovely, and I wish him the best. That's all I really wanted to say. Thank you.
Mr. Mazzini? Mr. Holston? Mrs. Hightower? She's getting comfortable. Be careful.
So a couple things. First, I want to welcome Dr. Gilmore, a black chiropractor, female, who is now at Crawford Chiropractic on Summit Avenue. And I consider her a boomerang because she went to A&T, was in Charlotte for 5 years, 20 years, practicing, and has now come back here to Greensboro to practice, and she adjusted me, and so I'm straightened out because my back was killing me. And she takes a lot to adjust me, so...
Yeah. We may need to give her the key to the city.
So kudos to Dr. Gilmore. And but welcome back to the city of Greensboro. I think that's the kind of professionals that we're looking for to come in our city. So I know she'll do well. The other thing is the Bingham Park issue, and we just talked about it, and we're going to talk about it some more. because I am very passionate about it, because I think it's something that we need to correct. And unfortunately, the way it is right now, our solution is still here in the city of Greensboro, and it is a touchy subject. I get it. But we are doing all of our due diligence, all of our research, even talking to health professionals as well. So we're putting a lot of effort into this, because fears are real, and I respect that. So we're going to have another meeting on June the 12th at 6:30 at Peeler Recreation Center. It is a meeting of District 1 and District 2 residents and anyone else who is interested in attending to hear and see what we've been talking about. And to take it a step further, we're still going to do tours at the landfill. We are taking people out there, and so some people's opinions have changed since they've done that. They recognize that it is safer there than anywhere, because right now, currently, it is in the open. It is in the midst of a community that not only doesn't have access to any type of recreational space, they can't even walk across the grass. You can go to the landfill and walk across the grass out there because it's safer than what is in Bingham Park currently. And so just want people to hear that. So I really strongly encourage you to take the tour, reach out to me, Nasha, Phil Fleischman, who I'll tell you has done a kudos job of getting information together and getting everything orchestrated. I think Griffin, he was out here. Did Griffin leave me as well? Griffin over at the field ops director, Richard Lovett, who works under him, knows so much about landfills and dirt. Who thought that much knowledge was around dirt? And so I think when we hear it and we really analyze it and we look at it and we see that we're really being very considerate of people's concerns and what we will do to this, I think everybody is going to really benefit. And just like how we talk about Barber Park, because I bring up Barber Park because Barber Park had dirt pulled out of it and replaced as well. It was contaminated too, and now people can't get enough of Barber Park. Barber Park is like the #1 park in the country. I consider it the #1 park in the country anyway. People are always there walking, playing soccer, ball, whatever, pickleball, whatever they're playing. I don't know what they're playing out there, but they're out there. I just know I see them all the time. And so we can create the same kind of space in Bingham as well for a community that right now is growing, thriving, and building new housing. If you ride up English Street, there's new housing there. Over in Willow Oaks, new housing there. So everything around it is really growing. And then once we develop Hampton, the old Hampton site, it's going to be a great area to really be in. But in the meantime, I just want people to keep an open mind, come out and hear what we got to say and take the tour. So I just want to reiterate that. I just can't say it enough because it really bothers me that we are at this point in this community. Because I would never do harm to anyone in my community. And it's troubling when some are insinuating that and putting out that narrative. And people who know me know I will fight for the underdog at all costs and all times. So to be attacked in this manner, I don't feel it's justified, but I accept it. And I understand it and appreciate it. But just hear me out on it. So thank you. It is 6/12, June the 12th, 6:30, Peeler Recreation Center.
And you said districts 1 and 2, but anybody's welcome.
Everybody's welcome. And yeah, it just was something that we felt like, because it was Bingham Park's in District 1 and White Street's in District 2, that we need to, even if we don't come to a meeting of the minds, let's come to a understanding of each other. So, thank you.
Mr. City Manager?
Really quickly, we had a good win tonight. We had a great economic development announcement. And I want to say thank you to Clearly Clean for choosing Greensboro, but we have more announcements to come. So just wanted to celebrate that. Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney?
I have nothing.
Okay. Do I have a motion to All in favor say aye. Yeah. Chuck, I need your help.